Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, very special guest with us today, Chris Beck. Chris, how we doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've been talking back and forth for a little bit, trying to make this work. I'm happy to have you on the show tonight. I've seen you on Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, hard to kill. So, if you could, so my viewers know, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your trajectory through the military and what's brought you to where you're at today?
Okay, so real fast, like who I am. My name is Chris Beck. A lot of people will know me by Kristen, which was a mistake I made in my life. I fell into a trap. I fell into a trap of humanism. I thought that I could run my own life and I could do whatever I wanted, and I started doing that. And that was the transgender, the LGBTQ, and all that. So I was not like I was trying to take the rudder of the ship, being Navy, I talk about ships sometimes. So, but the Marines are on ships way more than the Navy's,
Hey,
SEALs at least.
someone's going to bring us there.
Yeah, with the taxi cabs for the Marine Corps.
You know it.
But so basically, for a while there, I was running my own ship. I had the rudder, and I was going all over the place. It was really bad, and so that's part of my story that a lot of people will know me by. So the parts that they don't might not know me by, I spoke about a lot of this on Sean Ryan. I spoke a little bit about this on Joe Rogan, but so I try not to cover it too much because it's so deeply covered there. So, but I was a Navy SEAL for 20 years. I retired. I was in Bud's class 179. I graduated as the top guy. There was an officer that graduated a little higher than me, but I think they kind of fudged with that because it was weird. They changed the whole system during my class, and then I think they changed it back because it's like Buds is all about athletics. It's all about what you're doing, like your physical, the beat down, And so far as getting beat down, I was the number one guy. So which means I take a lot of beatings, I guess. Hey. It's pretty not a very good thing to brag about, but I guess it makes me tough. So but that's part of the job, you really got to test yourself. And I think that's also part of why we're even here on Earth. What is the reason for all this? And so I'm going to jump right into it. So Navy SEAL 20 years. If you want to know about my career, go watch Sean Ryan. I was at SEAL Team 6 for a while. We're supposed to say Dev Group, but nobody says Dev Group. Nobody says Damn Neck and all the other nicknames for it. It's freaking silly. The Chinese.
I wanted to ask you, what is Damn Neck? Where did that come from?
Damn Neck is the road it's on. So there's a road that goes right into the front of the base, the front entrance. It's Damn Neck Road. Gotcha. So that's why we just call it Damn Neck. It's like everybody's all about it. It's like, hey, I'm Secret Squirrel, walking around with a giant beard and 5'11" pants on, and a pager sticking out my pocket.
We could never know what you are.
Like, oh, no, I'm not from there. And you're like right at the bar outside the gate. Like you guys are on jackasses, Facts. Can I sit down here? Sorry.
Of course, go for it. Go for it.
Marine Corps, right? We're allowed to do that a little bit.
You already know.
I'm way more of a Smedley Butler right now than I would be, a Chesty Puller. But then again, Chesty was pretty cool. I think he knew a lot also,
I met a lot out there.
In the 80s. His wife, Virginia, was amazing. She gave me an autographed picture of Chesty Puller.
Really?
I still have right now.
That is badass. That's savage.
I'm giving it. I met a Marine Corps guy at a gas station about 3 days ago. And he was a young guy from my hometown. And I was like, dude, Marine Corps? And I said, hey, I got something I think you might like. So I'm giving him my Chesty Puller autograph picture.
That's awesome.
It's probably priceless because how many of those are around?
I was just going to say that. Ridiculous.
Hey, I have an autograph picture of Mitch Page. Do you know Mitch Page?
Guadalcanal? Of course.
Yeah. So I'll give that one to you.
Oh,
so I have a autographed Mitch Page picture.
That's huge.
It's right there. Here.
Damn, that's savage. Look at that.
If you notice my wall, the wall in my room is like empty because I keep giving all these away. So there's awesome. Mitch Page.
Oh, that would mean so much. Thank you so much, man.
He gave this to me in the 90s when he was still alive. And well, of course. But I became really good friends with him. He was he was the most humble and sincere. He was a Christian and just had
Really?
this huge heart. And I don't know why he befriended me, but I took him out on my sailboat. We were sailing all around San Diego Bay, and then we met for dinner. Like every time he was in San Diego, he lived out in the desert, out in Palm Springs area. But we would go sailing. We'd go out to dinner, and he every time he came, he'd give me a call. I'd say, "Hey, Chris, what are you up to? I'm in town." I go,
Solid
"Man,"
dude.
I'd always call him General or something. But um, he was probably more decorated than Chesty Puller. I think
Uh,
he was the most decorated Marine ever.
wow.
I don't know about now. So it could
That's
be,
saying something.
but he was a badass. But you never know it when you met him. He was the most kind-hearted
Humble.
person. He would be walking around, and I do it because of the SEAL team training. I think you do it also. Is you pick up trash when you're walking down the street.
Always.
You
Always.
see something laying there, and you take care of it because it's something that's wrong. He would do the same thing and he was older. I think he was in his 80s when I first met him. Unbelievable, man. I wish kids that are growing up nowadays
You don't
would
see that.
understand that this is our world, and if we're not taking care of it,
Who's
then who's
gonna?
going to take care of it? It's like you're garbage, dude. Take care of your own trash. Why do you
Yeah.
want somebody else to take care of it for you? That's enslavement. So I'm not getting paid to pick up your trash. You're making me a slave.
What
You
would
know?
you say like that drop off is? Because you can tell a difference from the generations, and especially today. Would you put it towards social media and the phones, or is it
Oh
just
no, I blame the
it's
baby
bigger than
boomers.
that? Bigger than
The
that.
boomers. It's 100% the baby boomers. So I mean, my parents are boomers, and
Gotcha.
they were latchkey parents or latchkey kids. They started doing the double parent work stuff. That's
Yeah.
when it started. The double work parents.
So no one's home, right?
Boomers were all about money, all about
Yeah.
consumerism, all about. It was just after the 50s when everybody was all like flashy cars, all the stuff.
Yep.
It was consumerism, and it was the first generation of that terrible consumer mentality.
And we're seeing that come
We're
full
seeing it come
circle.
full
Yeah.
circle. So what
Absolutely.
happened when the boomers did that to us? It was basically the X generation. We were basically told, go take care of yourself. Here's a
Yeah.
box of Cheerios and some milk
Yep.
and whatever, and
Yep.
we were running around the woods until that's why they had on TV commercials. It's 10 o'clock at night. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
11 o'clock at night. Do you know where your children are? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Do you know where your children are? Because that's the way it was. And so we're running around getting hurt, bleeding all over and doing stupid
Yeah.
stuff,
Yep.
stealing cars, wrecking them, we were doing crazy
Reckless.
stuff
Yep.
because we had no supervision.
That's true. It's
Then
very true.
then it got worse because then the hippies were the late boomers were the
Mhm.
hippies. They were even more hands off. They're like, nope, we're not going to spank our kids. We're not going to
Yeah,
this.
that's wrong.
We're not
Yeah.
even going to talk to them. And then so now we're X generation. We're going, what the heck happened? And so now when we raised our kids, we went kind of the opposite way. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. So I kind of strangled a little bit. And so you see this roller coaster going.
Yeah.
So right now, the end result is the X generation are still not in charge. Who's
Yeah.
in charge of Congress right now? The freaking boomers. Who's in
True.
charge of all the government? Who's in charge of every
You're
major
right. You're
corporation?
right.
The
You're right.
boomers.
You're right.
So when X generation, when we take over in a year or two, because we're tired of this. I'm telling
Yes.
you what, right now, I'd go into Congress right now, and the best congressman, the one that yaps his gums the most and always yelling about everything, that freaking guy Rand Paul. But then
Yeah.
when you find out what has the guy done,
You're
he just
right.
runs his mouth. Have you
You're
ever
right.
seen anything of Rand Paul bill? Have you ever seen Rand Paul complain about something, then do something? He's a controlled opposition, like the worst one.
Did you see the last, I think a couple of days ago, the last picture of Congress? There's just Ukraine flags
Oh
flying
yeah,
all
yeah.
over the place.
See?
Another bill going out for fucking
And they
98
allowed
billion.
it. If I was in Congress and I saw those guys doing it, I would have started grabbing out in their hands and say, "You dare to do that?" I would have been punching people in the face.
Do
Give
that
me
many
a
people
fine.
believe that though? Do they really
Uh,
believe what they're pushing, or is it? It's sad.
every
It's
one of them Congress
scary.
people that waved the Ukrainian flag, I would have punched them in the face.
Like, do they? First of all, do you even know anything about Ukraine? Do you really
They have
even
no
know?
idea.
They don't. They don't care.
Nope.
And
Nope.
yeah, it's
I mean, I
hate.
would go back to Ukraine. I would be studying that thing back into about 100 BC, 200 BC, and I would go into the Khazarian Empire. Like, do you know anything about the Khazarian Empire?
You made me.
They
You
don't
made
know
me
the
dive into it.
Ukraine. They don't know
So
anything.
so I did a deep dive into Ukraine, and not only did I find I connected Nazis to
Nazis, of
Ukraine.
course.
First of all, Hitler came. I guess like what is the area? I don't know if you know the area where Hitler actually was born. It was I gotta
I
figure.
thought he was born in Bavaria.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like
Yeah. But
yeah,
Bohemia, I think, is what you're talking about. So when the
yes,
Russian Federation told the Khazarians were straight up Luciferians. So they had no religion. They were Satanists. And Luciferian was part of the Catholic Church in the beginning. So if
That's
you study who the
crazy.
Luciferian were, they were part of the Catholic Church. They had bishops and they had a lot of priests. Now, also opposite of the Luciferians, you had the Arians. So the Luciferians were fighting the Arians in the Catholic Church. Now, the Luciferians, the biggest thing they said was that our soul, our spirit, is attached to the progeny. And that's when you get Nimrod, who actually was reborn into Tammuz, his son, but it was the same wife. So Nimrod married that terrible, I can't remember her name. She was basically the goddess of Nimrod, the goddess of their cult. So
Wow.
she was married to Nimrod. She then had the son Tammuz. Nimrod dies, something weird, and then she
Of
marries
course.
Tammuz and has sex with Tammuz to have another child. So when she did that, and they did that, Tammuz was reborn through the progeny, and that was new Nimrod. And so Nimrod keeps passing his spirit. So the spirit of Nimrod is the spirit of Lucifer. And so you keep passing that progeny down. And so the final one they had was Rothschild, was Lord Rothschild, the last one that wrote the Balfour Agreement.
That
He
connects to
passed it.
Nimrod. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Nimrod was reborn in Tammuz and then follow it all the way down through the line, ended up being Rothschild. Rothschild is Nimrod in the Nimrod spirit, in the
That is
Lucifer
crazy.
spirit. So they keep reborning, rebirthing this spirit.
And does Rothschild not run everything right
Yeah,
now? And
yeah. I mean, of course, that's what happens. And the word Lord Rothschild, is the one that signed the Balfour Agreement to make Israel, the state it is right now.
oh,
And the
I
Balfour
was gonna
Agreement.
ask you. I was gonna ask you how everything connects to Israel.
Oh
Like
God, it all does. Oh, it does. So read Revelations 3:9, the synagogue of Satan, the Jews that are not Jews, the liars. They are the synagogue of Satan, and it will be destroyed. Now, I'm not saying that all Jews are not all bad, but all the ones that are in charge right now
exactly.
are the synagogue of Satan. Now, there's a lot of them in there, and Jews is not all the Israel. So Jews is only one tribe. That's the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah is the Jews. The southern kingdom of Israel was Judah and Benjamin. The northern kingdom of Israel, it split because of Solomon. Solomon started
Oh,
marrying
okay.
a bunch of pagans, started doing a pagan worship, worshiping Baal and Lucifer
Yep.
and all the
Yep.
rest of them, Moloch and all of them. So,
Moloch. Yeah,
so when
right.
when Solomon started doing that, he brought in these pagan women. They split the empire. So the tribes were split 10 north and the 2 south. The 10 went to the north, started doing the pagan worship, and started disobeying the 10 commandments very early.
What
So
timeline is this?
what's that?
What's this timeline? Like,
This
what?
timeline, this is this 200 BC? I think it's about 200 BC, somewhere right in there.
Okay. Okay.
So this is when a lot of it started going on. This might have been earlier. I'm sorry. I may be mixing a couple things up right now. I could find out on the timeline really quick. So just find out when no, way back then, it was Solomon. So this might be 12 or 15. It's in the way BC times, way before
Okay.
Christ. So the empire split. The northern kingdom is the 10 tribes. The southern kingdom is Judah, Jews, and the tribe of Benjamin, and part of Levi and part of Manasseh. It's part of a couple other tribes.
Okay.
Half of one tribe split, half of a few other ones. And the tribe of Levi has no land. The tribe of Levi are the priests, and they're split up between all the tribes. So there's a lot going on that nobody understands. So now the 10 tribes fell to paganism way early, and then they were sent away and made slaves. And then what
Okay.
happened to them is they were all sent in to between the Caspian and the Black Sea. And then that is where Ukraine is. So that's where all the 10 tribes went. Then they shot south and went into Europe, and they shot north and went into where the Vikings are and England. And then they came across to America. And then they also went down across the other way into Asia and the Asia Minor, India, and all through there.
Okay.
The southern 2 tribes went to Babylon, and then they were released from captivity and went back to Israel.
Okay.
So the 10 tribes went all around the world. So 10 tribes are in Africa or in South America or in America or in Asia or all throughout Europe, are spread out throughout the entire world. And if you read Deuteronomy, you can catch up on a lot of that. The end
Okay.
of Deuteronomy, I think, goes into Leviticus does also, but I think Deuteronomy gives a better view of where they went.
When you say that, I mean, would you consider yourself religious?
I'm highly spiritual. I'm an Ethiopian Yahwist that follows the Messiah.
Okay.
So, and
Was
what
it
that
the
means is The Catholic Church is probably the most evil religious
Agreed.
institution on earth. And I will say that the Catholic Church is the Luciferians. They are the ones that brought the Rothschild, the Nimrod dynasty. I mean, who killed Jesus? And I don't even like to say the word Jesus, but from now on, I won't say that word. I say it sometimes because people don't understand that the word
Okay.
Jesus is actually Zeus. The word Christ is actually Krishna. So whenever you say Jesus Christ, you're going Zeus, Krishna.
I
They're the
just
two
found
mega
that out,
religions.
how it was just basically that story remade to, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So I mean, that story, if people would just study that just a little bit, they would learn so much. But the Romans were in charge during the time of Christ, right?
And they write history, correct?
And they were the winners.
The
So
victor.
who killed Christ? I say the Jews killed Christ, Judah, because at that time during Christ, the 10 tribes were gone. They were dispersed. Judah was enslaved and they came back to Israel. Judah is the Pharisees. Judah are the Sadducees. And the Pharisees won. So the
Well,
Pharisees
is that
are Judah.
Romans?
What's that?
Was that Romans?
No, no, they're not Romans. They're still the tribe of Judah, but they were under control of Rome. So Rome
Oh,
had
okay.
control of Judah, the house of Judah, for so long after the Babylon that Judah was just like bowing down to the Romans. I mean, look at the Pharisees. The only way you can be a Pharisee high priest is if you had the Roman legate. What the Roman, the guy in charge of the area. I can't remember the word they used for Romans. I remember it when I stopped thinking
I know
about it.
what you're talking
But
about.
the Roman guy who was in charge, basically Pontius Pilate,
Okay.
he that Roman guy was in charge of the Pharisees, would appoint the high priest of the Pharisees. So how do you become the high priest of the Pharisees? You got to
Through the
kiss
Romans.
Roman ass. You know, that's the only way to become a Roman high priest. I mean, a
Gotcha.
Pharisee high priest, basically a Roman high priest. So, and then who became the Pope, the first Pope? It was the Bishop of Rome. That's the first Pope. It wasn't
Gotcha.
Paul or anybody else. Paul would hate the Catholics right now.
So realistically, the Catholic Church is Rome.
Yes,
Is, yeah, okay.
100%. So the Roman Caesar, you don't really see the Roman Caesar anymore. Who's in charge of Italy? I mean, come
The
on.
Pope.
It's
The
the Pope.
Pope. Yeah,
It
yeah.
always has, man. You got to be kidding me. Who's in charge of the whole world, in charge of every king and every queen that's ever lived for the past 1,000 years, past 2,000 years?
Now
The
tell me
Pope,
this. Tell me this
the
though.
Pope is the one that crowns them all.
How does the Vatican, Rome, the Pope, are they always against Israel? Now it seems like
No,
they're
no,
not one of
no,
the one and the
no.
same.
No, they are the same. I
They
mean, if you
are.
have the Pope and Rome in charge of the Pharisees for 1,000 years, who do you think is running Israel right now?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
then also, if you study it, who did Rome create in 500, 600 AD? Islam. They always
That's
need black and white. That's why they got the checkerboards. And every time you see a Catholic church, you see the checkerboard. You see the checkerboard, black and white. That's my dog.
you're
Sorry.
fine. You're
Talk
good.
about something. Stop, stop. Come here. Upstairs. Come here. Sorry, man.
You're good, brother. I can edit it out. Is that Sergeant?
Hey, I'm in a podcast. Okay.
Is that Sergeant?
Here. There. That's how we do it in the
Is that Sergeant?
Yeah, that was Sarge and Mama and Zuzi and Dave.
Damn, you got a lot of dogs.
We have four big dogs now.
Ooh, okay.
And we have somebody dropping off dogs into our kennel out back. So sorry
Okay.
about the noise.
No worries. No
But-
worries.
So you have to figure that the Jews killed Jesus. They're the ones that were yelling, crucify him. They're the ones that brought Jesus to Yeshua. They're the ones that brought Yeshua to the Romans. Pontius Pilate went all the way through the whole thing. And he says, you know what? I find nothing wrong with this man. I wash my hands of it. He was done. And then he took a criminal, Barabbas, a murderer of Romans and Jews, a killer. And he says, okay, well, on this day, we always let somebody free. He's hoping they would say Yeshua. He was going, just say Yeshua. He's innocent. We don't want to do this. And they said, no, let Barabbas free. Let the murderer free. They were going to kill an innocent man. This is what the Jews did. So Pontius Pilate was like, all right, I can't do anything, because if I do something against this Barabbas after they say crucify this guy, he's going to have riots. He's going to have the whole thing fall apart. And do you know how many troops he had? I had the troop disposition earlier. It was very few amount of troops.
Oh, few.
When he had, oh no, it was not very many at all.
Oh,
When he
okay.
had the legionnaires, I mean, he had the centurions. which were like the big ones. They were pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
He only had like a dozen of those guys. Then he had a whole bunch of other troops below him, which were like
Huh.
privates. So he didn't have very many troops at all to control all of Jerusalem. So when stuff was going on, he was like, I have like one dude over there and one dude over there. Everybody else is over there taking care. I have to keep peace. If you guys are yelling crucify me, you guys want this guy free. I can't do it. I'm stuck. So Pontius Pilate had to do it.
Huh.
So it's a shame. And Pontius Pilate actually wrote a book. It's not in the Bible. I don't think it's in the
I bet
Ethiopian.
it's not.
You ought to check that one out because it'll give you a lot
So,
of really interesting information.
so do you
He wrote
believe
letters to the
the basic
Caesars.
story of the Bible then? The story of how Jesus was, came back to life after he was put to death by the,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's 100% true. So I have a friend of mine who he was studying the Shroud of Turin, and he was doing it all from a
What's
distance.
that?
The Shroud of Turin is the shroud that was laid over Jesus. Now, if I had a napkin
Okay.
here, check this out. Now, there's hundreds of things. I think it's only like 30 or 40, but there's a lot of things in the Shroud of Turin that they cannot explain and they cannot duplicate it. So this is the actual shroud that laid over Jesus. It looks like this. It's really long and it lays like that. They put his feet down here and his head here, and they laid the shroud over him like that.
Okay.
And the thing is what they did was they had the whole thing laid out. They laid him on here, and then they laid it over him, and then they left it and they left. The reason we know that is because all the blood marks and everything on there, if you put a piece of cloth on your face or on anything that has blood on it, and you stick it on it, and then you immediately pull it off, it's going to be a spot. It's not going to have smears. It's not going to be that. Every blood stain on the Shroud of Turin is just like that. There's no smears. It was not picked up. It was not moved. But the whole thing was laying flat with no body in it. So how did the body disappear out of this thing that was laid over him? So this guy was studying all this stuff and trying to figure it all out and trying to collect all the information he could. And he was calling the Vatican. The Vatican called him up and he said, hey, we want you to, you can come out. We've authorized your visit, because he kept requesting it. And he said, you can come out and you're allowed to look at it for like 2 hours or whatever the limit of time is. It's very limited because they don't want people touching it or around it, because the more exposure it gets, it's degrading.
Sure.
So he's out there for a couple of hours and he's studying, has all this equipment and all these physics thing. And he's a mad scientist, physics guy. So he's got all this stuff. He's testing and doing all these things. And the people in the Vatican are going, what are you doing that for? And he says, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I just want to check this. I'm going, right, that's interesting. What are you doing that for? And I'm doing this and I'm doing that because this and that and that. And he said, wow, that's really interesting. Nobody's ever done this stuff before. And then they came back like that later on that day. And he says, listen, you can have as much time as you want with the shroud. Just keep doing your testing. And this is wonderful. We really want to know what's going on here. And so he had it for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. And he had these light bulb moments. He was just like,
what did he learn?
He did experiments on it, really tested it. And the guy's really into deep quantum mechanics. And he figured out kind of what happened. So on a quantum level, there was one of the quantum particles is able to go into neg entropy. And entropy is the degradation of all matter and all life. Everything decomposes, everything decays. Yep. That's entropy. Okay. Now, neg entropy is negative entropy. It means something's coming together. And it happens 1 out of 1,000 of these subatomic particles, these quantum particles. Now, when this quantum particle, when it goes neg entropy, 1 out of 1,000, it releases light and energy and heat. So what happened is when Jesus was in this cloth, he was able to achieve in a quantum level the neg entropy of the 1 over 1,000 and have that cascade into more particles and make all of every particle, his entire body went neg entropy, went into light and energy. That's why the guards that were standing out, there was guarded, the tomb was guarded, because Pontius Pilate, everybody was told, he kept saying this thing about raising a temple in 3 days, and we think they're going to do something wacky. They had a whole bunch of guards out in front of the temple, 2 or 3 guards, which is a lot for release. So we had guards out there. The guard said this bright light, and they all passed out, this huge bright light, and all this heat and all this energy were all coming out. And they said it was amazing. It blew the doors off the thing. So now it's like, what happened? Well, the cloth is laying flat now with no movement, but he's gone. So everybody's like, well, how this doesn't happen? Well, he figured it out. It was a quantum level, mechanical shift of energy. And there's a ton of other things he said about this thing. There's a report on it. I don't think they released a report because I think it gives too much
I'm
information.
sure. I'm sure.
So and I have the whole
You got,
report here. It's just when you read it, you're just like goosebumps. You're like, wow. So
damn.
for me, when I read the Bible, I don't read the Bible like it's stories. I read the Bible. This is history. The Bible is true. This earth is flat. We do not live on a globe.
I've just been getting into that. I've just been getting into
So
that.
there's so much that if people would just like open your eyes and
But they're
use
scared. They're scared because anything new challenges old things they've been told, and they don't. You know how people are now. They don't believe
100%.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I know it's flat because I've been at 30,000 feet outside flying like Superman at 30,000 feet.
You're saying you were dropping
Oh, I was dropping. I
like
was
free
free fall.
fall?
I
Oh
was
shit.
outside of the plane flying like
Yeah.
Superman going, this is flat. And I'm spinning, I'm looking all around. I started doing the T, what is it called? I put my arms out and put my feet right
Oh
to the
yeah.
end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like a cross position. I think they
Yep.
call it the crucifix or
I
something.
forget what it's
I was
called.
flying through the sky, like that. And I was spinning like that, just looking at everything, the whole horizon. There is not a curve, and there's not a curve ever. They're using fisheye lens cameras, and they're all liars.
So what does that really mean
NASA
then?
full
What is
liars.
why would they not want to tell us that?
Well, because if you add a T to the word NASA as an anagram, what does it
Huh.
spell?
NASA? Would oh oh gotcha. Gotcha.
So if you
Satan.
have NASA and
Yeah.
a T minus, so whenever they do the countdowns to the rockets, they're always going T minus 10, T minus 9. T. Why do they do T minus? Because
Tell
they took
me.
a T out of the NASA and they took away the Satan. So
Oh.
that's Satan. So
And
if you have a flat earth and you know it's flat and you understand the Bible and you read the Bible about the firmament, about the face of the earth,
firmament.
about
First of all,
everything God
to
did.
explain the firmament.
Okay, the firmament is just frozen oxygen.
And that's a layer, the last layer of atmosphere that we can't get
There's the
through.
last layer of atmosphere. So the oxygen, when it freezes, it's magnetic and it's also light blue in color, which most people don't know. And they call it, NASA calls it sky ice. So if you ever hear anybody from NASA say anything about sky ice or sky snowballs or space balls are the snowballs that fall off the firmament when some of it's melting or falling away.
Gotcha.
So it's frozen oxygen.
And
And we
anything
live in an
radioactive
electromagnetic.
can't get through it.
Oh no, you
Anything.
can't get through it at
Yeah,
all because
exactly.
it reheals itself because there's so much up there, and then it reheals itself pretty quickly too because they bore holes into it, and then pretty soon Antarctica, they're always doing this, messing around with it, but it heals itself up. It just
So what?
refreezes the oxygen and becomes solid again.
So what is all these pictures that NASA puts out? Because as I've
It's
just
all
found out,
CGI.
every picture we've been shown of
Yeah,
space is not. It's fake. It's
yeah,
CGI formatted because we
yeah,
can't
and they admit
actually.
it.
Yeah.
The astronauts and think about astronaut. You know,
Okay.
I mean, there's so many things that they're doing. It's hidden in plain sight. They're telling us through spells, through spelling, through how we speak to each other.
Tell
We're
live
lying to each
vision.
other through these spells every day. So our terminology and our words we use are very important and are always wrong because they've given us the wrong words. If you want to be smart, learn Latin because Latin is the language of common law. And then see maritime law, common law, and then what's the other law? The legal law, the legalese. So these different types of law, they use Latin to hide it all. That's why Latin's a dead language. Why do all the rich kids take Latin?
Tell
Because
me.
the rich kids are elites and they know. So if you go to any type of rich kid academy where all the elites send their
It
kids,
is
they
taught.
talk
Yeah,
about
you're
Bill
right.
Gates and he has kids and Trump and all of them. They all go to private schools. They don't teach gender ideology. They don't teach critical race theory. They don't teach fighting. They're not trying to divide the kids.
Because that's the whole point of all that, to get us fighting at each other, to
It's
cause
100% the
discernment.
point.
Yeah. Yep.
The point of critical race theory is to make all the black kids think that they're not smart enough
Yeah,
to
exactly.
compete with the white
And
kids,
we're the
so they
enemy.
have to have
And yeah.
help, which is total bunk. It's buffoonery.
Yep.
So the black kids are as smart as white kids.
Yep.
They just might not have as many opportunities at
Of
first,
course. Of
but
course.
you can fight against those opportunities because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen black kids from the ghetto that never learned how to swim become a SEAL. A good friend of mine, Jeff, he didn't know how to swim. He was growing up in Bronx or Brooklyn, I think the Bronx. So he goes out there to Long Island, goes to the Sound, and he starts trying to swim out in the Sound. And it's
Yeah.
big waves, and he's drowning. And a female lifeguard swims out there and tries to save him. Says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I want to be a SEAL." And she goes, "This is not how you do it. Go to the YMCA in a pool and have people help you. Come on, dude. Don't go in the ocean ever again." So the guy ended up joining the SEALs like less than a year later and became a SEAL, one of the badass SEAls that I've ever known. He's
How did you get, I mean, I've listened to a lot of things you said, man, and how did you get to the level of just self to say the things you've said? You have to go and look for this knowledge because it's not shown to us. And it's
100%.
a journey. I'm at the very beginning of it right now, just trying to deprogram all the bullshit that I've been told and learn the things that are real and that are true. And it's not easy. It really
But,
isn't. And how do you do that? How do you
but
feel confident?
on one of my last posts, a kid was asking me a very similar question. And I started trying to figure it out. And I have a book that's coming out, and I think a lot of people are going to like it because I'm following some of the phases of BUDS, of SEAL team training. So I told him, I said, the first thing you got to do is you got to know who you are and respect your temple. So the first book I want you to read is going to be this book. It's by Dr. Emoto, Messages in Water, Hidden Messages in Water. So book number 1. So you want to read this because you want to know who you are. So what percentage is your body made up of water?
A lot.
70%. It used to be 78 or 79%. So why are we losing water? They're dehydrating us. They're doing something. But we used to be like high 70s in water back in the 50s and earlier. I think in the 60s when they taught me, I think we were 78% water. We're 70 now and maybe lower now. But this book will help you build your temple. It'll help you
Okay.
understand who you are and how you should talk to others and how you should talk to yourself. Every word you say is affecting your water in your body. So if I say good water, if I say I love you water, I'm saying that to myself. I'm saying it to you too, but I'm saying it to my water. Now, water will restructure itself by the vibrational
I've
content of your
seen that.
voice
I've
in the
seen that.
cells.
It's
If you want to know
crazy.
more about it, read this book.
I
It's
will.
amazing.
I
Dr.
will.
Emoto was a brilliant. He was amazing.
I've seen
That's book
how
number 1.
water and plants react differently to positive. Yeah. Okay.
So
I'll
here's
dig
your
into
book
it.
number 2. Book number 2, the mucus diet system. It's a healing system. So Dr. Errett, there's his name. So take a picture of the screen right there. So
I will.
Dr. Errett right there, is it backwards on your screen? I don't know if it's
No,
backwards.
no, it's straight.
Oh, it looks all backwards to me. Why do they do that?
I know, right?
So okay, this book right here, and pay attention especially to the fasting sections.
Okay.
So the fasting sections are brilliant, and I'm a heavy faster. And I know it says in the Bible, don't talk about your fasting, or don't tell people you're fasting, but that's a Pharisee BS.
What's the point? What is the point of fasting? Just to bleed out all the toxicity?
Oh man, it's that, and it's way more. You're healed. You got to read this because when you're
Okay.
fasting, your body goes into overdrive. It goes into something called the oh, now I'm forgetting that word. Um, Not anaphylaxis. It's a autophagy. It goes into
Okay.
autophagy mode, which is where the cells, each cell has the ability to know if it's healthy or not. Now, a healthy cell will go, I'm the healthy cell. You're not. It
Gotcha.
destroys the not healthy cell and it eats it. So all of your healthy cells are actually using the bad cells for energy. And
Okay.
so your body's healing itself by destroying the bad stuff
Damn,
and
that's
getting stronger.
badass.
So on day 3 or day 4, you get more energy. I am more energized, and I can lift more weight. I can run faster on day 4 than I can on day 1 or day
Wow.
right now, day 0.
Wow.
So read this book and
I
pay attention
will.
to the fasting
I
parts.
will.
And you're going to go, boom, mind blown. I'm
Well,
telling you, it's nuts.
even someone like you, man, I feel like just being in the military for 20 years, getting to the levels that you got at, you know what the military does to your brain. It it
Yep.
it it almost puts you in this box of being a patriot and supporting the system, and that's all you know. I'm just at the point where I've been out for a few years and I'm trying to just take all that out and
Yep.
bring in this new person that is me. Do you understand how hard I mean, you
Rebuild the
understand how.
temple is first. First thing you got to do is rebuild the temple. First phase in SEAL team training is all about the body. It's just testing your body. It's phase 1. It's hell week. It's just a beat down. They want to see if you're in shape and can your body take it. Now, the reason women will never make buds, they won't make the SEAL team training, is because their bodies can't take the abuse over that long period of time.
Gotcha.
You're talking about 6 months of running miles
Yeah.
and miles every day, of swimming a lot, not miles every day, but you're swimming a
Still,
lot.
yeah, constantly.
Each week you're probably swimming 5 or 6 miles,
Damn.
So, and then you're also doing push-ups constantly. Every
Yep.
day, you might do a couple thousand push-ups.
Damn.
Now, there's no female as far as her ligaments and the bone structure. They're not going to take it past 1 month. So they might be
Facts.
able to make it through Hell Week. They might be able to get a little bit past there, but then they're going to start failing and they're going to roll them back until they can heal up. And that's not fair to everybody else. Because what happens when you're on a mission? I've been on missions where it lasts a long time,
Yeah.
weeks and months. You're just out
Facts.
there working, and you can't afford to have somebody that can last for 3 weeks and then break down.
Is that what you enjoy the best when you were like solo, doing your own thing?
Well, I was truly solo. It's not many
I
SEALs.
saw some pretty gnarly pictures of you when you got, full Afghan get up. Just I
Yeah.
could I'd see you in a Shura and I wouldn't even be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. It was hard when you were over there. Nobody knew the difference. Ishmael Rahman Rahim.
That's
So
awesome.
the thing about healing our bodies up is you also have to get rid of the programming. So the biggest thing that we do in the military is we drink and we cuss. Those two things are terrible. Every time you cuss, you're putting out this bad energy. You're making your water bad. Every time you drink, you're doing acidic and you're
Poisoning
changing
yourself.
blood, brain cells, and you're being a jackass and getting in trouble.
Yep.
The drinking in the military is the worst thing that they ever did.
Toxic.
We don't support each other.
No, we don't.
I had one commander, one of the admirals called me like 2 weeks ago and said, "Hey, Chris, I'm just checking on you to see how you're doing." I have no idea why he called me like a week or 2 weeks ago. It was like, dude, why you call me now? Like 2 or 3
Seriously.
years ago, I was
I needed you.
crazy and I was wearing a dress. Why didn't you call me back then? No SEAL team leader ever calls and checks up on his guys because we don't do that. Because we just go, oh, they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If they don't make it,
Yeah, they only want to claim you when you're in the ground.
Yeah.
And then that's when they want to tell you the good things.
When you're buried under all the shit, they're going, no, he's not one of ours.
Yeah,
exactly. And they go, well, he probably wasn't a SEAL ananyway.
I hate that.
He's a liar. He was never. I have all kinds of guys in Game Night that still stay. I wasn't there. I'm going, do you want to see my orders? Do you want to see my words?
Why? Just because of that bullshit that you went through?
Medals out of that stupid place. They're just so egotistical, so narcissistic that they can't take a little ding in their armor. But think about the ding in the armor that I gave them.
True.
I mean, I'm talking about you want some mental toughness. You got to try to live my life for one day.
Facts.
Live my life one day right now. Yeah. I get more right now than I ever got.
Why? Because people just can't bend their mind around what you went through. That's just ignorant. Pure ignorance. Pure ignorance.
But
do you mind talking about that?
Really good Roman stuff, and then we got into the SEAL team stuff somehow.
Yeah, I know.
So the Roman Catholic Church in 321 AD, the Emperor Constantine started talking about changing the Sabbath, and he wanted to be on Sunday because he wanted to consolidate his Roman Empire under one religion. And right now, the main religions in Rome were Zeus, the Greeks and Romans, and it was also Krishna because they had a lot of influence coming over from Asia and all that. So if you have Zeus, Jesus, Krishna, Christ, what day do they want to worship? They want to worship on Zeus Day, the sun, to worship the sun, right? Because you have Apollo and Zeus. You have all the
yep.
So if they want to do Zeus as the father, then they also want to have Apollo, the sun god. So worship the sun, Sunday. Gotcha. And so that's when Constantine made Sunday the official off day, the non-work day, and that became the day of worship. And then in 325 AD, the Council of Laodicea came for the Roman Catholic Church and then sanctified Sunday as the day of worship as the Lord's Day. And what does Lord stand for? Baal, Baal. So every time you say the letters Lord, you're actually praising Baal, which is also Satan, which is Lucifer. They play trickery with the words. They've replaced every time the letters in Yahweh, it's actually YHWH. They changed all those letters in the Hebrew Bible. They changed it to Lord. Whenever they saw the word God, they started sticking other stuff in there, but it's actually Elohim. When they saw Father, it's actually Adonai and Abba Nawa, our Father. Abba Nawa, Shabbat Shalom, Mayan, Kadash, Haya.
All the same thing.
That was part of the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, gotcha.
All that. If you go back to the actual words in Hebrew, in a Paleolithic Hebrew, you'll see even more of the truth. But every time you say the word Lord, you're praying to Baal. You're praying to, every time you word Jesus is Zeus, is Apollo, is all the pagan gods of Rome and Greeks. Every time you say the word Christ, you're talking about Krishna. So people out there, these Christians are praying to the wrong God. They're worshiping on the wrong day.
Good
They're
luck
not
convincing them that.
at all. They're worshiping idols. They're praying to the sun. They're worshiping all of it wrong. That's why I'm not a Christian. I'm a Yahwist.
Gotcha.
So I am an
Okay.
Ethiopian Yahwist because the
Okay.
Catholic Bible has 66 books. Why does the Catholic Bible have 66 books? Why do they like the number six so much? So they also have in the Council of Nicaea, that's a Nicaea Council, is when they actually got rid of all the books. So the Ethiopian Bible has 88 books. What is the number eight? Now, you know, number seven is God's number, is the seventh day. We
Yeah.
don't do eight. We don't do eight.
Oh,
Why? Because eight is a number of completion. Eight comes after the final seven. So we have 6 days of creation. A day
yep.
is 1,000 years, right? So
Yep.
then we have seventh day. Right now, we are at the end of 6,000 years of creation. We were on the end of 6,000 years. We're going into the 7,000th
Oh,
year.
that's creepy.
If you add it all up. So we're
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to the seventh day. What is the seventh day? The seventh day is a day of rest. It's the Sabbath. We're going to have a Sabbath day for 1,000 years. So every day, okay, 1 through 6, he created the whole thing, seventh day off. 1 year, 2 year, if you do the seventh year, you let your fields lie dormant. You let the fields rest. You let your animals rest. You let everything rest in the seventh year. Then keep doing it up from that. You have jubilees every 50 years. You also have the 1,000-year count. So 1,000, we went up to like into the Noah and all the other stuff. 2,000
Yep.
there. You go into Abraham with the other Abraham, then Noah. I'm sorry. Then you have the 1,000 years. Keep doing that in 1,000-year chunks. You're going to see a breakout of all the great prophets. Then at year 4,000, you have Yeshua, the Messiah. And now we're at 1,000 years after that. You have the Roman Empire kind of consolidating into the Catholic Church at about 300 AD. Then you have the
Yeah.
Reformation. Then you have the Inquisition into like 1500. Now you have into almost 2000.
Huh.
We're almost at the end of year 6,000, day 6. What does that mean?
How the hell did you piece that together? Damn.
Oh man, there's so much you have to read, but you also have to watch. There's a lot of good guys on there. Santos Bonazzi, he's a really good one. He just started following me back for the first time.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the dude is like a really deep guy, but he misses the boat on a lot of stuff because he starts
so?
thinking too deeply. Now you have to understand fractals. You have to understand how fractals work and how templates work.
What's a fractal?
But a fractal is, if you take a triangle, is the first piece of a fractal. If you take that triangle and then push it apart, it becomes a tetrahedron. It becomes this triangle with triangles on all the sides. You take that tetrahedron, put a whole bunch of them together, and I have a whole bunch of them back here I experiment with, these little tiny tetrahedrons. I put them all together into this one big sided thing because the dodecahedron. And you keep going out from there. So, but the first template is a triangle, is a trinity, is a God, is a mother figure, and is a figure. Now you have to remember that the pagans will steal all of the fractals of God and they pervert them because the pagans and Satan, Lucifer, cannot create. The only creator is Yahweh, is God the Father, the creator. Yah. He's the only one that can create. You have to remember that. Okay. Now, everything else is created. The only thing Lucifer can do is take something that's already created and he can corrupt it. And can make it kind of lies and make it look like his own.
So that would mean that every other form of religion is a false prophet.
Is all false prophets. They're all copying the template of the creator. And so that's why you keep saying, well, what about Krishna was born of a virgin and raised 3 days later and did all. It's a template. It's a copy of the Bible. The Bible is already written. They just copy the Bible. It's easy. It's like every movie it's ever made is a copy of Carl Jung and a Man of 1,000 Faces and a Hero's Journey. So shut up. And that's also a copy of the Odyssey, the Iliad and the Odyssey. This is a copy of the Bible. Come on, man. My favorite guy saying, come on, man.
That goes deep, man. Jeez.
But the thing is everything's a copy. So I am a template, a copy, a fractal of who?
Yeah.
Yes, because that's who I am. And you are also. Now, if you go down to the cellular level, your cells are a fractal of
Gotcha.
When you go to the firmament, you go to mitochondria, then you go to the nucleus, then you go to that. And all the parts of a cell at the cellular level is a copy, is a fractal of God.
Wow.
Then if you go below that, you go to quantum level. At the cellular level, you have neutrons and protons and electrons, the
Yep.
energy.
Yep.
The actual atom with proton, neutron, electron is a fractal of God. Water is a fractal of God, H2O. So the oxygen, and then you have two
Yep.
hydrogens, right?
Yep.
It's a fractal of God.
What do you think
Look
about
at
what CERN
the
just did?
pyramid of Giza. So Giza, the giant pyramid, and then two little pyramids is a fractal of God.
Oh yeah, shit.
So the Phoenicians, the Egyptians, all the pagans, they all copied God. They all copied the Bible. That's why it all
Huh.
looks like, oh, Jesus just copied something. Dude, come on, man. Jesus didn't
Huh.
copy anything. Jesus is the fractal. All those other things are copies.
So on Saturday on the day of worship for you, what do you do? Do you just pray and
Okay, so Sabbath?
Sabbath?
Sabbath starts on Friday night at sunset, and it goes until sunset of Saturday. So the way the Hebrew calendar, and I don't want to say Jewish because that's only the tribe of Judah. I'm an Israelite. I'm an ancient Israelite. I'm from the tribe of Levi. And that's going to mean something to a lot of people out there if you read the
Okay.
Torah.
Okay.
So you know what the Torah is, and
I
you
do.
know part of it. But that's just to all the Jewish people out there because they say they know the Torah, but they only do the Talmud. They don't understand. They go, the Torah is too confusing. I'll have to ask my rabbi what that means. Dude, read the thing yourself, and your eyes are going to be open. In Exodus, when they were leaving Egypt, who went with them? And here's why. This is really important. So you figure you have Moses in there
Moses.
with hundreds of thousands of Hebrew prisoners, right?
Yep.
They're all in there. They're all prisoners. They're all slaves. And who else is slaves? Egypt at that time went all the way up through the Levant, went all the way down into the Sinai, went all the way down through into Ethiopia. It was huge. Egypt was giant. So their slaves were Asian, their slaves were Ethiopian and black, their slaves were white Europeans, their slaves were a lot of Hebrews. Their slaves were from all over. They didn't just enslave one race and call it good. Everyone they conquered, they enslaved. That's how they did it back in those days. And it was different. The slaves weren't like chained, and it wasn't like ridiculous like they have in the books nowadays. That a lot of that is fake. You can't do that for long periods. It just the slaves, it was different. It was more
Huh.
servitude. It was more like we captured you and you're going to serve us for a
Yeah.
while. And
Gotcha.
after 7 years, you get released or whatever happens. Stuff happened back then, you know? So these were slaves, right, from all over the world, from that whole area of the world. So then Moses is going there, and Pharaoh goes, no, I'm not going to let your people go. So Moses goes, all right, I'm going to start crushing you with some plagues. And he starts sending them all these plagues, the locusts and the frogs and the darkness and all that. And he builds up through all these plagues, these 10 plagues. The ninth plague was darkness. The 10th plague was killing all the firstborn. Oh, isn't that wild? It was dark when they killed Jesus.
Yeah.
They killed
Yep.
the firstborn. Oh, fractal. It's a template. So
Huh.
all these plagues and all these other slaves are looking at with all these Hebrews going, dang, hey, Moses, your God is powerful. You're just smiting this Pharaoh and smiting all these Egyptians, and they're really hurting. Holy cow, this is wild.
Wow.
What's going on here? Oh, and Moses, now you're leaving with all these guys, and your God who's so powerful that crushed everything. And now there's no crops in Egypt for years and years because you took all of them with the locusts and all these plagues. You have no food in Egypt now. And I'm a slave here. And you guys are all leaving. Okay, see ya. Bye bye. I'm just gonna stay here. Do you think that happened? No, because the tribes all left. And it says in Exodus, it says the tribes left, and a great multitude followed. And then when a great multitude were out in the wilderness, what happened? God taught to Moses that, hey, you're going to do a Passover supper. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to follow Sabbath. You're going to do all these rules, the 10 Commandments. And then all these multitude were there too. And God said, if you're part of this multitude and you're circumcised and you do the 10 Commandments and do the Passover and do all the stuff you do, you're an Israelite. You're one of us.
Yep.
A great multitude followed. So they're black, they're Asian, they're white, they're European, they're all this, they're all mixed up. And they have some Jews in there,
Yeah.
a few people from the tribe of Judah.
Yeah.
And then if you do a DNA test on Israel right now, you're not going to find hardly any one of those guys are going to be really related through DNA. You're going to find more DNA that is similar in Norway than you ever would in Israel.
That's wild.
It's true. There is no race of people called Jews. It's fable. It's fake. Any anthropologist knows this, and I've studied enough anthropology to
That's
know.
that's anti-Semitic
It's not. I'm just saying it's the truth. It's like it's
nowadays.
not. It's just saying this is theology. This is anthropology. Are you telling me my science is wrong? I can show you all the numbers. Let's do some DNA tests. Oh, why is it illegal to do DNA tests in Israel? They won't
Shocker.
do DNA tests because they don't want to know.
Of course.
So all these people left, and now they're all part of the tribe, and they're all under Moses, and they follow the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments is the first covenant. The first covenant is the Ten Commandments. Why? Because you have Adam and Eve. Who were their first two boys? Cain
Mm.
and Abel.
Yep.
And Cain and Abel both brought sacrifices to the altar of Yahweh. And one of the sacrifices was accepted, and one of them was not. Why? And then Cain kills Abel.
Yep.
There's murder, there's all the sacrifice, and there's obeying Yahweh. There's all the stuff you need out of the Ten Commandments. There's not killing, there's being good to your neighbor. There's all of it. It's right there. So the Ten Commandments were in effect as a first covenant with Adam, with all of humanity. That's the first covenant of God, of Yah.
Gotcha.
The Ten Commandments. So when you have all these new Christians going, no, we're under the new covenant, they don't have an idea of what they're even talking about. They're clueless. That's why Christians are not following Yahweh. They're not following the Ten Commandments. They worship idols and they worship on Sunday. They're not Christians. They're not following the Messiah. Well, yes, they are Christians.
It's funny because Christians are always saying exactly that, that everyone else is following false prophets and
Yeah,
they're
of course
not.
they're going to say
Yeah.
that. That's a template also. That's a template that Lucifer used for lying. Tell some half-truths and do that and then just lie.
Every time I talk to someone that's Christian, they say exactly that, regurgitated through, their whatever they're saying. I mean,
So
they always say,
the new covenant is a new covenant with Messiah, only that he was the final sacrificial lamb. We don't have to sacrifice animals anymore. Because what happened was you had to go to an altar and you had
yeah,
to
I
kill
know.
the lamb, kill
Yep.
the goat, kill all the stuff. He brought grain and everything else there.
Yep.
You had to remove the entrails, take all the fat off, burn this for the smell of Yahweh, and do all this stuff. It was intense. It was really long. And the tribe of Levi were the one that did that, not the Pharisees. It was Levi and Zadok. It wasn't a Pharisee. So Pharisees are not the priests. They're not the temple priests. They are liars. Every Pharisee is a liar. They're Phoenicians. Phoenicia, Phoenicians, Pharisees. It's all wordplay. They're lying to you in plain sight. The Pharisees are Phoenicians. They're not even Egypt. They're not even Hebrew.
Wow.
Imagine that. So the thing is, you have to read a lot to do this. So now you have these Phoenicians doing all the lying and doing all their stuff and saying that the Christians get tricked into it. They think that it's okay to worship on Sunday because of the Catholics. They're doing all the stuff the Pharisees.
When did Christianity start?
I mean, well,
Same,
actually, I would say Christianity didn't start until probably the Catholic Church in about 300 or 400 AD.
right? Because it's a branch of the Catholic Church.
Because the first century, it was still like disciples and it was still like real Hebrews that were worshiping Messiah as the final Passover lamb, as the final lamb sacrifice. That word is like final. It was like our sins are forgiven. Adam and the apple and disobeying, Yah.
Yep. Yep.
That's good. You're good. You don't need to sacrifice animals anymore. It's the final one. Praise Yah,
Gotcha.
So that's the only covenant was don't have to sacrifice anymore. So a lot of the temple stuff had to go away. So I would say Christianity started, I would say in 70 AD when the temple was destroyed. If you wanted like a date on it, you could probably figure some stuff out there. Because up until that point, you still had the disciples, you still had stuff going on. Then you had the temple destroyed. And you had a whole bunch of people now that were going lunatic because they didn't know what to do. Now we can't.
Christians were just upset Catholics, correct? I mean, it's a
Christians were the Hebrews and some Gentiles that joined them who didn't understand the sacrifice fully. And then you had the Jews who didn't understand the sacrifice fully either, that still wanted to sacrifice, but the temple was destroyed. That's when you had a big schism between the Jews that still wanted to practice in the temple, and then I keep saying Jews, but I should say Hebrews or Israelites.
What temple are you referring to?
The temple of Solomon, Solomon's temple. So they're trying to build a new temple right now. So you have the first temple, the second temple, the third temple. The third temple will start being constructed after the red heifers are sacrificed. So they're still sacrificing stuff over there in Israel, which is ridiculous. They're saying that the sacrifice of Yah's son wasn't good enough. Let's do some red heifers. It's like it's the silliest thing ever. That's in the Bible too, in Revelation. So the whole thing is just ludicrous. If they would read the Bible, you could see all this stuff. I just don't understand that they just keep taking other people's words for it. I have this guy here that read the Bible like 15 or 20 times, and he's telling all these people stuff that he read. And it's like, and these people listen to him. And it's like, dude, why are you listening to somebody else that read the Bible all these times? He read it all those times and he's still telling you stuff that's not true. So if, the Holy Spirit wasn't with him. So now you're going to get these false teachings and you're going to be lost. So what does that mean? So that means that all these people that read the Bible with no Holy Spirit are going to be teaching all these false things to all these people that won't read the Bible. So what's the fix for that? Read the Bible
Read the
yourself.
Bible. Yeah.
That's all. Put down your phone and read the Bible.
Good
So I put
luck.
my phone on do not disturb all the time. It's all, if you ever text me, you're going to find
I
things
noticed that. I noticed
not on
that.
here much.
Mm.
Text me, I'll get to it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
read the Bible. I try to read the Bible 6 hours per day. I read 3 hours in the morning from about sunrise until whenever. That's when they start stirring in the house. And then at night, I wake up at midnight or 1 o'clock and I read until 3.
I have trouble understanding it all the way.
I
You
can
gotta,
help
you
you.
gotta you gotta reread it, reread it, and
I won't read for you. I'm not going to tell you what it means, but I can give you some pointers. I can give you some ideas on how to look at it. And some of the stuff I'm telling you right now, that if you read the Bible and you know that God the Creator, Yah the Creator is the only one, and I am part of the book, I am in that book, I am Israel, and read it from that mindset. And
gotcha.
before you read, every time you pray and you say, Yah, I want to read your book right now. I want to learn about you. I want to learn about your son. I want to learn about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is not a spirit. It's a spirit of truth. It's not like this thing that it's not a ghost. It's just truth.
Holy Ghost. Yeah, that was taught to
It's
me.
the
Yeah.
spirit of truth. And if you ask the spirit of truth to help me see the truth, to help me dig through these lies and understand what you're trying to tell me, the spirit of truth will help you.
What do you think about what Israel is doing in Palestine right now? Then, because
It's
what?
ridiculous. But the thing is,
Yeah,
it's not my business. It's a bunch of
true.
pagans killing each other off.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah,
I
look,
look at it.
no, I
If
agree
you
with
look
you.
at one of my last posts, and I think I have part of it right here. Did you ever see that thing that I put on there that has kind of a cross?
Yeah,
And on one side it says Lucifer, on the other
yeah,
side it's Satan. Down below it says NASA, and then it says Vatican.
yep.
The whole upper part of that chart, the upper part is spiritual. The lower part is physical. The upper part is the heavens. The lower part is the earth. That's why on the lower part you have the Vatican and NASA. NASA being the ones that are trying to go to space and go to the heavens, and the Vatican trying to keep you on earth and
Okay.
be earthly, right? The symbol for a antenna is this thing that looks like this with a bunch of things stacked on it because you want to go to the air. The
Yeah,
thing that's like a grounding rod is a thing that goes down and it has these spikes that go in the ground.
yeah.
The Vatican is the ground, and then I'm sorry, yeah, the Vatican is the ground, and NASA is the antenna.
Gotcha.
The NASA is trying to leave the globe away from God, away from the Bible, and the Vatican is trying to get you off of the God and the spiritual and get you into the ground with Zeus and Krishna, which are pagan, dirt worshiping baby eaters. It's all,
Damn.
and
Damn.
so on the upper end, you have Lucifer and Satan. I know they're the same thing, but if you think about Lucifer, light bearer, and light, and you
Yeah,
think about Satan and darkness and evil and bad stuff, it's dark and light. On one side, you have Satan, which is dark evil, which is witchcraft and the voodoo stuff and tarot cards and astrology and all that crap. And, all that junk is over there on the dark side. We know it's dark. That's Aleister Crowley and all his idiots. On
I
the light
just
side,
just dove into him. He was a wild
oh
one.
yeah, a whack job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even read that stuff anymore. I've read enough in the past that I understand who they are. It's
Mm,
basically just they're fallen angels.
yeah.
All of the, I'll tell you more about the fallen angels if you want, Enoch.
I
And
just
then
read
on
about
the
that.
Lucifer side, you have the light. And so everything is a black and white checkerboard. It's a black and white checkerboard for your spiritual. It's a black and white checkerboard for your mental. It's a black and white checkerboard for for your body. So in your body, you have between the healthy health nuts and the new age stuff, and then you have the popcorn and all of the crap, the fast food, Soylent Green. So the
Yep.
evil side of your body is a Soylent Green food. On the light side of the body, bad, is yoga and the new age craft and a whole bunch of other stuff, the electromagnetic and all the weird stuff. But all you need is God's medicine. He told you right in Genesis, every herb and every fruit and all the fruit bearing trees and everything else is here. So in the morning, I drink nettles and skullcap and hawthorn and mulan leaves mixed with ashwagandha and what else do I put in there? Lion's mane. So I have this whole thing I drink, and I can drink that. I don't need food. I don't poop. I don't have to. Maybe like once a week, once every 2 weeks. Why was it that all the Tartarian buildings, all the castles had no bathrooms? Because they were so healthy and so good and eating only God's medicine, they didn't need bathrooms. It's true. Like
That's
I've been on
wild.
really long fasts where I'm only doing God's medicine, my herbal stuff, my herbs that I pick myself, I forge myself. I don't poop because I'm using everything. I pee a lot, but you can kind of control that. I don't have to go outside and pee or just pee out the
Yeah,
window.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Huh.
know, and what you do also is you pee in a bottle, you drink it immediately. That's called a urine fast.
I've heard of that.
And it
What's the
works.
benefits to
You
that?
know? Yeah. Well, the benefits are that a lot of minerals and things that you're using, your body's eating all the bad stuff, and it's still got a lot of good stuff flowing through it. So it goes into your urinary tract and you pee only if you're on the right diet. You can't do this if you're eating Soylent Green.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you're eating
yeah.
fast food, you can't do this because you have to get rid of all the toxins. So for me, I've been doing fasting, like hardcore fasting, like out of this book for a long time. This is going on years of like pretty hardcore stuff.
And how do you feel? How does it make you feel?
I'm healthier now than I ever have been. I have not taken a pharmaceutical drug. I took one Flexerol a few weeks ago because I had to get something really loose. I should have hot tubbed it. I cheated. I shouldn't have, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
it was bad. So that's the only thing I've taken in like a year and a half for
Wow.
pharmaceuticals. I haven't
Wow.
brushed my teeth. I brush my teeth maybe once a month.
Huh. How do you pull that off?
I use bentonite clay and I use baking soda.
Oh, and you do like a wash, like a
I just do a rinse, not spit it out or I swallow it. It doesn't matter.
huh.
But I have no toxins in my body. So I've had no smells. My
Huh.
underarms, I haven't had a smell.
So you don't
And
use any like
I don't use any deodorant. I don't use any soaps. I have my hot tub is filled with Epsom salt. I have a,
I do
I
have
don't
some
know how many
salt.
gallons it is. It's not a very big hot tub. It's an inflatable. It's like $300.
Yeah, yeah.
I fill it with water and I put 200 pounds of Epsom salt in it. I don't shower. I don't use soap. I just once in a while I would rinse off with plain water in the cold tub, and then I go into my hot tub with Epsom salt.
So you're avoiding all toxins or all
I don't use
man-made.
soap. I don't use shampoo. I don't use toothpaste. I don't brush my
Huh.
teeth. I don't brush my hair. I don't do anything.
How long have you been doing that consecutively?
I still eat some processed stuff because I have a family and I get stuck sometimes. But
Yeah,
if I had
yeah.
my way, I wouldn't eat anything processed. I'd only buy my herbs,
Huh.
and I would be like I weigh about 165 right now, and I'm in the
Yep.
best shape I've ever been in my whole life. I'm
Wow.
stronger, I'm faster, I'm fitter, my mind is clear, everything's running smooth. I have rabbit poops. I don't even have to wipe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know this all sounds really sick, but it's very important
No,
to
no, it makes
understand.
sense.
If
Makes
you're
sense.
pooping every day, 2 or 3 times a day, you're doing something wrong. That's all
Huh.
toxins. And you're pooping out a lot of good food that you should be using. Or there's a lot of bad food that you shouldn't be eating. You know? I mean, if you're eating fast food, you're the most ridiculous person on earth.
I know.
That's Soylent Green.
I know.
You know? They
Huh.
already tested for human meat and it's in there. You know, it's
Huh.
ridiculous what they're putting in the food now. Our food is illegal in almost every country in the
I
world.
know. I
It's
know.
like,
I
what are
know.
you doing? And we know who's poisoning us.
Yeah,
In my
absolutely.
water that I drink well water, and I run it through a Berkey through a carbon filter, and that's
You
all I do.
won't you won't no bottled water,
Oh, now bottled water. Oh my God, seriously, dude,
plastics,
you're
plastics.
drinking in plastic?
Yeah.
I have everything's glass. I don't have a piece of plastic or Teflon or anything cooking. Throw all that
Uh,
away. If you're not cooking in cast iron, you are
I
an electric.
just watched a special on Teflon and how
Oh
it's
man,
bleeding into the everyone right now. Everyone in
crazy.
America or in the world has like a certain percent of Teflon in their bloodstream because of that.
100%. They have microplastics crossing the placenta right now, going past a barrier and going into babies while they're in their womb right now.
Oh my God.
So
Ugh.
the microplastics, get rid of all the plastic in your house. If you have any food, not plastic like in your garage and stuff, but your plastics on your body,
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
this is all. I only wear linen and wool for the most part. There's some stuff, the elastic bands you can't help. There is some stuff in me, but all this stuff, I don't wear anything but cotton, linens, and wool, and all natural. I sleep on a cotton with woven silver fabric in there that's grounded outside. On
Why
top of it,
silver?
it's a grounded sheet. So I'm grounded to the earth. If you're sleeping on top of bed, you're on top of a lot of stuff. You're not
Yeah,
on the ground. So every night I'm grounded. When I'm walking
gotcha.
outside, I try to walk barefoot because I want to be grounded. So
Why
we
is it
are
important to be
magnetic
grounded? To be
electric
one
beings.
with the earth, you're saying?
Always one with the earth because the earth is a big ground, and in the sky is the not ground, is the electric. So it's magnetic and electric. And we are magnetic electric beings. Our heart is electrical. Our blood is it has a lot of iron in it. The more iron you have in your blood, the better it is to carry hemoglobin, carries more oxygen. And study Wim Hof also, the Wim Hof breathing. I do a lot of that. And do the Wim Hof stuff.
I've heard
Amazing,
about that.
mind blowing.
What
So
would you
you
say?
want
What would
more
you say that
iron in your
does?
blood. How do you get iron in your blood? Is by cooking on cast iron. So cook on cast iron, and you'll have better hemoglobin and your
Okay,
oxygen carrying
I have
ability,
cast iron glands.
and it makes you more
Gotcha.
of an electrical being. The reason astrology works, and a lot of people don't know this, we were just talking about the placenta and the womb and everything. So the reason astrology works is because when you're grounded and you're on the ground, and you should be in water when you're giving birth because you want to be fully grounded, the woman, and you should be in there too because it all affects. So when you're in your mother's womb, you're part of your mother's electromagnetic being. So the more she is calm and take care of your water, read the book. When you're
Okay.
pregnant, you better be reading this and understand how important it is for stress and how you speak to your water because you're speaking to your baby. Every word you do, you're speaking to your baby. It affects it. So now you have your magnetic and electric. That's the mom's magnetic electric. When was she born? That's her code is coded when she was born. Now the baby's attached to the mom.
Yep.
Now the baby is born. It's in the atmosphere, right? But it's still attached to the umbilical to the mother. The electrical cord is still connected.
Yeah.
Now, the moon, the sun, all the planets and everything all around are affecting the magnetics of the earth. Every star up there is an angel, affects the magnetics of the earth. Everything around the baby is affecting the magnetics of the baby. So you should be there in a loving environment, have the family. More family and love you have around a baby when it's being born in the water with the mother, it's going to have the most loving and perfect birth ever. The second that umbilical cord is cut, the electrical cord to the mother is cut. Now the baby immediately is on its own in its own magnetic electric environment. And the baby goes, whoa, what's going on? And the baby has to quickly adapt. So the baby's system goes and it locks in the code for that second in time when the umbilical was cut. So wherever the sun, the moon, all the stars, all the planets, everything, and you and everyone around that baby are causing the magnetic electrical structure of that imprint on that baby's code to be
Okay.
forever. That is why astrology somewhat works. It's stealing a template of God. It's stealing a fractal for astrology, but it's only using part of the code. It doesn't understand. All those astrologers out there are only giving you half the story. They don't understand what's really going on.
How so?
Some of us do. Well, that's going to have to be another one. But just
Gotcha.
understand that astrology is partly true. Aleister Crowley even had a lot true.
That's why I
It's
asked.
not true. Why? Because they have to steal a template, they have to steal a fractal and then corrupt it to make it into theirs. So what you have to do is you have to understand how to read all these books. If you look on my bookshelves, you're going to find a lot of wacky books. Blavatsky all over the place. E.G. White all over the place. And these are ones you should look at, but don't look at them if you don't understand the first fractal. Because otherwise you're going to believe that fractal and it's a false fractal. I
Gotcha.
read Aleister Crowley because I understand and I can pick out where he messed up. I know what all these Luciferians are doing. If you ask the biggest Freemason in the world and I was able to speak to him for 10 minutes, he would know that I'm above him. The highest level, the 33s and all those guys, they are
What would you say all of them are trying to do then? Just corrupt and get you to worship them?
no, no. Well, that's part of it. But they're trying to do what they're trying to do in the beginning was to pass off their energy into
Yeah.
another vessel. And they don't understand how it works. And so they're never going to do it. Well, some of them do it because they're helped by the fallen or by Lucifer himself. But the fallen can't do that either. The fallen don't have the ability. They can't reincarnate a human.
I got to ask you, with the way that you look at everything that you're telling me right now, what is going on with what's happening today? How do you view that? You've been at all parts of the military. You've been at very high up. You've seen what's behind the curtain to a certain degree. What is going on today, according to you? I'd like to hear that. What is the
Well,
goal? What is the goal? You know,
it's the chart.
one world order.
Oh, 100%. The chart that I drew explains it pretty good. It's all the spiritual at the top and then all the physical at the bottom. And then you have Lucifer and Satan, you have NASA and the Vatican. So NASA is actually the intelligence agency for the whole world.
I'm aware.
So the CIA does some good stuff for us or America, but they do it for a lot of other stuff too. And they're a direct arm for NASA. Then if you think about the depository of information, the depository of everything is held, NASA has all that. And so they're kind of doing the strings as like the intel. And they're the ones that are putting out the stuff that they need to put out to Operation Mockingbird and all the rest.
Why would you think it's NASA?
Because Antarctica.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the big computers and the really big stuff are down there in Antarctica because it's so cold and they have access to sky ice to really run the quantum computers. So the biggest quantum computer that we know of is attached to all the pyramids and the energies and everything else.
Wow.
To the lines in the earth and how it all lays out. So it's down there and it's still running. So, and that's the point that a lot of people don't understand. It's still on. It's still turned on. So, and it's running down there and it has to be cool. It has to be down there by the sky ice. It has to be really cold.
Why would they want to lie to us about a round Earth? What's the point?
To get you away from the Bible. As soon as you believe the flat Earth, you'll start believing the Bible. As soon as you believe the Bible, you start believing Yah.
How does flat Earth connect to the Bible?
Believe Yeshua.
How does that connect? How does the flat Earth connect to the Bible?
It's flat. God made it. It's created. When you see the firmament and you go, there's a real firmament there. You've been lying the whole time. I mean, go back to Copernicus. Copernicus was a Jesuit priest, Catholics. You also have to understand that there's three popes. You have a white pope, a gray pope, and a black pope. So the white pope is the guy you see all the time, the idiot. He's a puppet. He's a puppet to the black pope. And the black pope is a puppet to the gray pope. The gray pope was in charge. And the gray pope was attached to the 13 families. The gray pope was actually the lead of the 13 families. So and I'm putting out a lot of stuff. It's like if people would start studying this stuff,
I'm going to. I believe
everything
you.
I'm telling you is true.
I just need to be directed in a certain direction. That's all.
I'm giving you a lot of stuff.
I know you are. I know you are.
Pick up on.
I'm interested.
Go, okay, connect these dots, connect that dot, and I can show you some of the chart, but it would be very confusing because that's too much. I'm giving you enough right now that it gives you kind of a lead to kind of study. I gave all this stuff on a Joe Rogan podcast too, like 2.5 years ago, and people would call me crazy back then and said, "Oh, you're a liar, you're crazy." And I was talking about the CIA and saying aliens are here on Earth or actually in the water.
Yeah.
I can tell you where they are.
What's his name just said that.
I was saying that 2.5 years ago. I said it on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan.
I told you where the two entrances are. The two main entrances to get under there into the tunnels for the aliens in the water.
I didn't see you say that.
Well, I'm almost positive I did, but one of them is right off of the coast of California at that Scripps Pier. There's a big, there's a trench right there, and then the tunnel is right there. And then the other one is there off of Puerto Rico on Vieques. So there's another really big trench out there. Why do you think the Bermuda Triangle? The Bermuda Triangle is a hiding spot for all the rockets. So the rockets shoot up off Cape Canaveral, right? They go up, they hit the firmament, they scrape for a little bit, and then they fall down. They fall into the Bermuda Triangle. So every major space program around the world has a Bermuda Triangle area where stuff happens and it's weird. Stay out of this area.
Yeah.
It's weird. But that's where they crash all the rockets.
And so why would that area be weird for all these ships and planes?
Because there's a whole bunch of Navy ships around them with directed energy weapons on them and magnetic stuff.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Whoops, a whole bunch of airplanes went down. We don't know why. Well, of course, he shot it with a dew. A Mountain Dew. Ooh, Mountain Dew?
Is,
Huh. Mountain Dew's connected. So,
wow. Is that so? Is that what happened in Maui there? Direct
oh,
energy
Dew for
weapon?
sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, they have Dews in the airplanes. It's easy to look it up. The airborne directed energy weapon. They also have the ones on ships, really big ones. They have one that they have on this huge the oil derricks they put out there for drilling for
Yeah.
oil.
Yep.
They have one of ones that can float and they can move around.
Huh.
We have a giant movable oil platform that has giant dews on it. So that's not a
So
Mountain Dew, that's a platform dew. The Mountain Dews are really big. The Mountain Dews are very powerful.
damn. So it's
Got a
all
lot.
put right in front of us, and
Yeah, it's
we.
all right there. Yep.
So
So
what?
the shift dews are very powerful, but they also have a dew that I think you guys might have used in the Marine Corps, the Thor. Did you guys ever have a
Yeah.
Thor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dew. It's a mini dew.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You can start all kinds of fires with the Thor that you guys had
Yeah.
right there in the Marine Corps.
Yep.
That you guys had E5s and E6s running.
Yep.
And sometimes they would shoot it accidentally too horizontal and it would hit stuff, 40, 50 miles away. If we were on a globe, how could you hit something on Earth 50 miles away with a laser? You can't. If it was a globe, 8 inches per mile drop to make the globe, right? It's 8 inches per mile. If you're going 50 miles away, is it 8 inches per mile? Is it even more than that? But the curvature,
Yeah.
it's an equation. I think it's 8 inches per mile. It might be even more than that. I forget some of the stuff because I don't even care about it anymore. It's all JV team. This is all Lucifer and Satan playing games. That's why if
Huh.
you look at that chart I drew, the only place we can go is that little small spot in the middle. And if you look at the cross in the middle says electric and it says magnetic. The
Okay.
electric is me up and down, is me with my feet in the ground and my head in the sky. And the magnetic is me sideways. The
Gotcha.
magnetic is the moon. The
Mm.
electric is the actual electricity of the earth and how it does with the sky. If you go
Huh.
up a couple thousand feet, you're at like 200 volts.
Okay.
So if you think about your body, and I
Yeah.
think about my head is like Buddha, and my down, my Dongcheng, and all my lower is like Thor. So I still use some of the pagan stuff because it's easy to describe. So if
Okay.
you think about being Buddha, Siddhartha, he's in a cloud sitting on a tree just thinking, I got it. Because he's all in the clouds. He's not on earth. He loses the earth connection. So you have to come down from the clouds. You come down about right here. But then if you're Thor and you're in your Dongchen, you're in all this, the lower energy, the sex energy, the stomach energy, the solar plexus energy. That's too low. It's a low energy. Get out of the sex. So for me, I do not do any sex unless I'm trying to procreate because
Gotcha.
I want to save all the energy because it's a waste for you to just be doing it all over the place. So save that energy and pull the energy up and bring it to the middle. So if I do sideways with the moon, the magnetic, and I go here and I go here, it's all the heart. The heart is where everything goes to. That's why Yah says, I've written my name on your heart.
Huh.
Bringing the magnetic to the center, bring the electrical to the center. And go to the center is the narrow gate. That's what the center of the heart, right there, when you say, I love you, it's a heart symbol. The heart is nothing more than two golden ratios put together. Think about the golden ratio.
Yeah.
Put it together. It'll make a heart.
Gotcha.
To be a full heart, you have to be both beings. When two become one, they become one. They become one
Wow.
heart.
Damn.
Now we're together as one. When two become one, me and my wife, because we have the covenant of God, because we were put together by God. I'm divorced. I had another wife,
Yep.
and I loved her, and she loved. It was just, I wasn't right. I was finally right in the eyes of God, and I found another person who was right in the eyes of God. We got brought together. Two became one. Now, in the hidden book of James, it talks about when one becomes four, then you have eternity.
Oh, so when you procreate, you mean when you?
No, when think about the fractal of God is a trinity, is three. Now, if
Oh,
you
okay, 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 okay,
become
okay.
one,
Gotcha.
now you understand a fractal. The trinity is a
Gotcha.
two-dimensional, right? The
Tracking.
trinity is flat, the triangle, it's two-dimensional. When two become one, they become four. The
That's four.
two-dimensional becomes three-dimensional.
Gotcha.
That means the three-dimensional becomes five-dimensional. The five-dimensional becomes seven-dimensional. So me, I'm three-dimensional right now. When
Yep.
two become one and I join the four, I can become 5D. When I
Wow.
become 5D, the 5D becomes 7D. So I push the fractal of God, the Yah fractal, I can push him up to 7D.
Huh,
So
man.
until I can do that, the God fractal is at the 5D and I'm a fractal to the 3D.
Gotcha.
The only way you can make anything go up is that everything has to go up. So right now, if you think about minerals, plants, and animals, and then humans, you have down to the lowest level consciousness 1D, 2D, 3D.
Yep.
You have minerals, plants, animals, and we're part of the animal kingdom, kind of in the
Yep.
3D, but we're 3.5 because we have more consciousness, we have free will. We still have the same consciousness of freedom, of movement, of free will as the animals. The animals can run off the side of a cliff if they want to, they can kill
Yeah.
themselves.
Yep.
So animals have a consciousness up to kind of free will, but they don't know death exists. They don't know God exists. So we're in a 3D, but we're kind of 3.5-ish. We're already leaning into the 5D, right? Because we understand the 4D. Animals don't understand 4D. They don't understand time. When they wake up, they go, oh, it's another one. I got another day. But we understand time.
Time is a human construct.
Exactly. Well, it's a God construct because he had to, because if you have no time, then everything happens at once, then we're God.
Huh. Okay.
So you have to split time apart to make us not God.
Okay.
But
Makes
otherwise,
sense.
everything happens at once, everything's all the time, everything's
I hear
here.
you. I get you.
So
Huh.
we have to be in a 3.5, which is fourth. So now the minerals become plants, the plants become animals, the animals become human, the humans become 5D. Then 5D becomes 7D, and 7D becomes 9D. You can't do it until the whole thing moves. And the
So,
whole thing can't move until we move
got you.
because we're the anchor. The earth is the anchor. We are the starting point.
Got you. So
Our
that's transcendence is 9D,
That's
you're
why
saying?
the North Star and all the angels, the stars, surround the North Star. They're all surrounding the throne of God. When we look up and you look straight up, you see the throne of God. You see the North Star, which is directly above the North Pole, which is directly above the largest mountain on earth, the Black Mountain, the Black Rock. Black Rock.
Black Rock.
The Black Rock is a magnetic rock. The giantest magnet on earth is a huge black rock, twice the size of Mount Everest, is at the North Pole. And then directly above that is God's throne. And then all the angels circle that. And then we circle that through
So,
the wind and through the oceans, through everything.
so
Everything surrounds the North
when you
Pole.
think of death, it doesn't you're not scared. You're
I'm so
not.
far beyond death, I don't even care. I'm already in the 5D. And I'm talking to myself in the 3D.
Huh.
No, I'm not kidding.
No, it's just a lot to.
When you get that, you're going to understand that we are in the image of God. We are eternal. If you have the word of God, if you have God's name written on your heart. If you don't, you don't understand us. You're not, all these words I'm telling you, you're going to say, oh, you're a liar. You're lying because you won't get it. You're going to think it's too far out. But I am already, God's name is written on my heart. I am already in the 5D. I'm already past death. My second death doesn't matter. The first death is your death here in the 3D. The second death will happen after the 3D. When you're approaching the 5D and understand it, you will be judged. If you're judged and you don't have the word, God's name written in your heart, you didn't follow the first covenant, the 10 commandments, you're going to experience the second death. And then the second death is the end. You're no more. You no longer exist.
When you say first death, is that you talking about your ego? Or
It's a
you?
human. Oh, the first death, that was Jungian. You're talking about Carl Jung. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's the first. Metaphysically, a first death could be the ego, but the first death is our physical 3D death.
Okay.
So I've already died dozens of times. I do that all the time. The ego death. The ego death is a pretty easy death once you understand how to go to the underworld and how to fight your ego and how to truly repent. And it's called morning oblations and evening oblations. If you're truly an Israelite, you morning oblate and evening oblate every day. because you understand how serious this is. That every sin you commit, if I think it, it's a sin. If I think a 10 commandment and I think it, I did it. I have to repent because my thoughts have to be so controlled. If you don't control
Repent.
your mind,
What's repenting to you?
it's
Acknowledging you did something and
uh,
feeling sorrow.
acknowledging it to like the core of my being, and it makes me like you weep sometimes because it's just so like it's so intense. I
Gotcha.
was just in a hot tub this morning during my morning oblations. I was crying because I started thinking about something I did as a teenager, and I'm just like, I don't know what happened. I was like, I'm an idiot, and I did stuff last week that I was just like, I don't know why I did that. And then you have to know, you have to
Feel
dig,
sorrow. Gotcha. Okay.
you have to dig
Know
them
that
out.
that's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's intense, and you don't understand that. And Christians go, "Oh, we don't have to do that. We're forgiven by grace." You go, "Are you kidding me? You Jesus nailed all the commandments to the cross." That's what they say. And they say the grace of Jesus forgives all the sins, and I'm good. And then you go and do it again. You sin again. Well, what happens with that is you're constantly flogging Jesus. I keep saying Jesus because I got to get away from that because I say it because I don't
Other
do it
people
to
won't understand. Yeah. No, I got you.
yeah. So Yeshua, if you keep sinning over and over again, you're flogging Yeshua, you're hitting him, you're whipping him, you're striping him, you're constantly crucifying the Messiah for your new sins. Now, if you truly repent, you're not going to do it again. And if you do it again, then it's when you go, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm re crucifying my Messiah because I did it again." You can't do it again. If you sin and you get forgiveness, you're good, you're clean. But then you do it again? Come on.
Mm.
And the Christians think they can do that. That's pagan. That's worshiping idols. That's the corruption of the template. Now, you got to understand that when you're getting judged by God, do you know why Jesus says that God can't abide sin? Because sin is darkness. God is pure. Lucifer was the light bringer, right? Lucifer is the light, but Lucifer wasn't the light. Lucifer was all the gems. Lucifer was diamonds and gems and all over him. He was shiny. All he was doing was reflecting God's light. So God would go, "All right, Lucifer, you're shining and you're one of my favorites." And he goes, "Lucifer, shine this." And then God goes and hits a bright light on him. And Lucifer goes, "Look at me. I'm so shiny." And Lucifer started falsely thinking he was a light. He wasn't
Mm.
the light. He was only a reflector. If a reflector's in darkness, what does it reflect? It
Darkness.
reflects nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Darkness. Nothing.
So that's what happens. That's why we have Saturn. Saturn's nothing soul that has no light of God and is floating around as a planet now. Satan is a first iteration of Lucifer, if you understand the iterations of the fractals. So there's more than one iteration of this. So
Wow.
we did 6 days, we have 7-day rest. What happens when a week starts over again? We start over in another 6 days. But who's going to do that and where am I going to be? I'll be up there as a spirit of truth, helping the people down here because I went through all this. I went through buds. If I went to buds right now, SEAL team training, I was going, "Hey, I've been through buds. I kind of know what's going to go on. I know how this is going to work out. Hey, dude, just chill out, man. It's going to be okay. Just get through this. And the next one's going to be easy. Don't worry about it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
back here as a spirit of truth, I'm helping people in the next 6-day iteration, get them to day 7. I'll be like, "Yeah, because I went through all this. I'll be good at this." But you have to get past the second death. Otherwise, you can't come back and help.
Well,
Oh, before what I
just
was saying, Lucifer shining, right? So the
yeah.
reason God can't abide sin is because what happens when you have a really bright light and you're shining on a bright white surface? It all
It
reflects.
disappears. Yeah.
Reflect. But what happens if you put a little black mark on that white board? That black spot absorbs the light. So
True.
sin is the darkness. So if I'm a light being and I'm all light and I'm clean as snow and I'm no sin on me, and then God, who's the brightest light, is a light beyond light, is a light so bright that you can't, like, it's bright. And if I have one speck of sin on me, that one speck of sin is going to absorb all the light and I explode. In a quantum world, that's what
Gotcha.
happened.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm talking about the physical quantum
No, I
world.
hear you. I hear you.
Our soul is something. on a quantum level. So you can that's the quantum entanglement is what I'm talking about when I can talk about
Yeah.
5D.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can quantum entangle your 3D to the 5D. That's how I can talk to myself. But there's a lot to it. It's way more than just what I just said.
Huh.
So you have to understand that when you do experience the light of God and you have one speck of sin, you're going to perish. You're going to burn up. That's the burning of hell. It's just God's light just going, ah. And he doesn't even mean to. He's just like, dude, you said you were sinless and I'm here. It looks like you're not. What'd you do
Mm.
wrong? Sorry, dude. That's the judgment. The judgment is just experiencing the light. It's like,
Do you
wow.
believe in reincarnation?
It's not reincarnation. We're still the same being.
Mm.
We're just in a different form.
Huh.
I mean, what are the angels? They're not a human form. They're not human. They don't have our image. They're not image of God. That's also what pissed off Lucifer so much. He was mad that God made something higher than him, and he thought he was the bright light and it was the best.
Mm.
So he was jealous. So we are at a higher level than the angels are, but we're different. So why would you have that difference? Why do you have seraphims and all the other cherubims and all the different angels? You have the archangels. You have many layers of angels. So don't you think we also have many layers of humans?
Most likely.
Yeah, it's obvious.
What do you think about the Anunnaki?
The Anunnaki are
Yeah.
the fallen angels that were cast out. 1/3 of the angels were cast out with Lucifer. They were cast here, the Watchers. They impregnated a lot
Watchers.
of women. They made giants. They made all the giants that were on Earth. The giants were
Nephilim.
the Nephilim, but this is like the good
Nephilim.
big ones. This is like the juggernauts, the what do they call it? The Titans. So
Yeah.
these
Titans.
and the giants and the giants mated with giants, made bigger giants, and it's kept going. And these things were so big that they were eating humans and eating whole states of continents. They were huge. And so the earth could never survive. So they would have eaten every human that exists on earth and every animal on earth. They would have eaten every tree. They were taking whole trees, giant trees, no, like broccoli. So they had to be wiped out. So then that's why the flood. That's why if you look around the earth, you'll see giant mountains that look like
Yeah.
a
I've
huge
seen that.
head because it's one of the giants. You see these giant trees because those were the giant trees. So at one time, this place was that big. But the thing is, the carbon dioxide content of the earth was way higher. So the carbon
Mm.
dioxide content of the earth right now is like 0.04, is it 0.4%? I think it's 0.04%. It's way, way less than 1%. In the time of the giants, the carbon dioxide on earth was in the percentages of like 2, 3, 5, 10%. It was high. Therefore, the therefore the oxygen was also higher. Therefore, everything was bigger. So why do
Gotcha.
you think the New World Order is fighting carbon dioxide so much? Because we need carbon dioxide. We want it to be up. If we had higher carbon dioxide, that means the plants would be healthier. We'd have bigger plants. We'd have bigger food. We'd have bigger everything. And that would make more oxygen. And then humans would be healthier and bigger. But if they can lower the carbon dioxide, it makes everybody weaker. And it makes our brain stupid. It makes the plant small and not nutritious. So of course they're going to fight carbon dioxide. The whole climate change hoax with carbon dioxide is all fake and lies and trying to make humans weak. It's another Luciferian play. They're playing. And they're winning because we believe them. Well, I don't believe them, but there's so many freaking NPCs out there that
Yeah.
believe these idiots that we're being led astray. And if people would just listen and read and understand, but they're going to listen to this and then go, wow, that's just a whole bunch of stupid talk and lies and
Of course.
conspiracy theory. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a truther. I've never believed a conspiracy in my life, but I have believed a lot of truth. Now, if you think these are conspiracies, the thing is you haven't read. All you did was listen to me say a few things, and then you went to CNN. Well, CNN told me the Earth is a globe. It's a globe because CNN says it. NPC out. And then they go, Fox says it's a globe. I believe Fox, it's a globe. And so, yeah, that's what you're going to get.
Except all the news is owned by the 10 families, and it's just everything that they project out towards us to control us.
All control. Yep. Because they have control, they can make you go to the one quadrants. You're going to go to the spiritual Satan quadrant, You're going to go to the ground Satan quadrant. You're going to go to the Catholic quadrant, or you're going to go to the NASA quadrant. What quadrant do you want? They're making you pick a quadrant, but I don't want any of these quadrants because I don't live here. I'm in the narrow gate. I already punched through. I cut away, man. I'm gone.
Yeah,
That was the cutaway for free fall parachuting.
I see. Gotcha.
Like, no, cut the pillow. Check.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did a reserve parachute opening.
I gotcha. If you could, can we talk about
Weird hand signals and stuff. I don't do hand signals.
can we talk about your process, man, of going through just your transition? And because when I heard you talk about it, it kind of reminded me of what I went through when I first got told I had PTSD and I got thrown on 9 different kinds of medications. And when I was on just some of the Abilify, the Wellbutrin, the who knows what else I was on. I thought different. I mean, I heard what you said, man. It made me think differently. I felt all over the place.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's happening. All the VA actively is pushing all this stuff onto these guys that are coming from the GWAT era because we all deployed.
Yep.
And I don't know. I feel like you
And
talking about it.
the Vietnam guys can't understand because they were drafted. They did one tour. I did 13. So the Vietnam guys don't understand us at all. And
No, I
so
know.
when the Vietnam guys used to say, if you weren't there, you wouldn't understand. I go, well, dude, you were there for one deployment. So yeah, you don't understand. That's all I got to say.
That's
It's
true.
like, dude, give
There's
me
a
a
huge
freaking
drop
break.
off between us and Vietnam guys. We've never
They
been
don't
able to.
understand.
Yeah.
And they still think they were like, oh, we had it worse than you did. We were in Vietnam. I'm going, all right, dude. Yeah, I was in the Horn of Africa, Somalia, and all that area.
Yeah.
I was in Iraq. I was in Bosnia. I was in Afghanistan. All of them multiple times. And I kept going over. And I kept volunteering. I kept getting shot at. Kept getting blown up. I was like, I don't know what to say, dude.
Why
The
did
less
you why did why
die,
did you keep
the
why
more,
did you keep
the more.
chasing it? I'm
What's
curious.
that?
Why'd you keep chasing the dragon when you like pumped out all those times? Was it something
I
that
hated myself. And that's why you do
makes sense?
transgender stuff. That's why you do gay stuff. That's why you do military. That's why you do everything. That's why
Gotcha.
you take pharmakia. That's why you take pharmaceuticals. So the reason for everything you're saying is all the same. So you're going to be transgender. You're going to be alcoholic. You're going to be a PTSD Marine going to the
Yeah,
VA.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because all of those things are addictions. All
You're
of
right.
those things require medical aid. They all require pharmakia. Maybe not so much alcoholic, but you're stuck on the AA stuff. So every one of those things, you're a permanent patient. You're going
Mm,
back to your doctor weekly for more drugs. And who makes the drugs?
exactly.
Rockefeller, you know?
Rothschild, all them. Yep.
Well, it's Rockefeller because Rockefeller medicine is what introduced it because it was oil. It's all the medical stuff they have right now. Every pill that they make
Oh,
is
you're
made
right.
from
Oil went to pharmaceutical, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And what is petroleum? Petroleum is a toxin. Petroleum is not compatible with the body. So anything made from petroleum is not compatible with your body. Your body has to fight it. So every time you take a pill, your body has to go into overdrive and figure out what's going on. Oh, it cured a couple of symptoms, but you caused all this other stuff.
Yeah, but it
Your
made all
metabolic
this.
system is broken. Your adrenaline, your endocrine system is broken. So you don't have to understand. You have a skeletal system, you have a muscle system, you have a neural system, you have an endocrine system, you have a cannabinoid system, and all this stuff works together. Now, if you're taking a bunch of aspirin because you have a headache, that's neurological, or maybe it's actually you're dehydrated,
Mhm.
you're adding a whole bunch of stuff to your system that messes up your endocrine system and it messes up your cannabinoid system. And your circulation is off because your blood got thin. So every time you take something, you're making all these other systems go into whack. So stop taking drugs, anything pharmaceutical, anything made from oil, petroleum, anything Rockefeller, anything from your doctor is going to be poison. I'm telling you right now, they want you to be transgender because you're a permanent patient. You're taking dozens of drugs every day to be transgender. If you're PTSD, you're taking a dozen drugs to be
Yeah,
PTSD.
yeah,
And they keep feeding you more of them. Then you get more messed up because now your kidneys are bad. Oh,
yeah.
we have a drug for your kidneys. Oh, my liver's messed up. Oh, we have a drug for your liver. Well, my heart now is bad. oh, we have drugs for your heart. But the thing is, if you would have stopped the one drug, your kidney would have been, your liver would have been, and your heart's not bad. And now you're all groggy because you're all messed up and they just want you to be groggy. And what does pharmakia mean in Greek? It's magic. It's all poison. So the sooner you get off the pharmakia and the sooner you get into this stuff, the sooner you're going to heal your temple. After you heal your temple, there's a few more books for your temple. And they're all short books. After the temple, we can start working on your mind. The first book for your mind is As a Man Thinketh. And it's right here. I have all these books always right here because I still read them all the time. It's a little mini book.
As a Man Thinketh, James Ellis.
So this thing is so short. It's like this little tiny book. This is a little mini book. It's as big as my palm. I carry these little books in my pocket instead of a cell phone. So I'm sitting there waiting in a waiting room or something. Everybody else has a cell phones and they're like this, creating cancer and distracting themselves from truth. This is the truth. I open my little book up and I'm just going. And they're going, what are you doing? And I say, I'm becoming better. What are you doing? Oh, you're destroying yourself. Okay, go for it. All the time. Well, not all the time. I still cheat. I do my phone because people still call me. But soon, they're not going to be around anymore. These 5G towers they put up during COVID.
I know.
Everyone was locked down during COVID, right? But not all the telecom communications people. They were out putting up 5G everywhere. Did your phone service get better? Nobody's phone service got better.
No.
So what are they doing? The 5G is very close. You have to understand that 5G is 5 gigahertz. Is the size of the frequency of the wave they're sending out. Now, if you have long wave, they do like this. That's HF and ultra low
high frequency.
So they're really long waves. The long wave, it goes through the body, it goes through houses, it goes through everything. You know, it almost goes through lead. I think a lot of really long ones. So long wave, as you shorten them, the shorter waves, and you get them to VHF and UHF, it can start going through the body because it's short enough to be in the body. So the wave is only this long. My body is this wide. So it's in my body, one full wave. 5G is able to get into the organs of your body. So they're sending out organs right now with frequency that can explode your organs. So what happens then is 6G can break the barrier of the membrane of the cell. So 6G will be cellular. So that they can control the organs right now with 5G. There'll be cellular level control when they hit 6G. And they want 6G because what do they want? They want control. So all the sickness you're experiencing right now is all 5G related. So once those 5G towers are down, or you can get out in a wilderness, get out in a national park far enough, you're going to heal up. So what do we got to do?
Unplug.
What to do, but if you want to be healthy, there's something you can do to bring health to your whole city.
See, I feel like we all know that
realizing this.
There's all this
That's when the revolution starts. Right? The revolution starts when people realize that we are fighting and between Lucifer and Satan, and none of them are your friends. Every politician is bought and paid for by pharmakia, by telecommunications, by the New World Order.
Yep.
Every one of them. Rand Paul, that freaking loudmouth. It sounds really good. Everybody's going, oh my God. It's called controlled opposition. So we have the opposition, which is Satan. We have controlled opposition, the Catholic Church. We have opposition, which is, you know, all that really bad stuff. Then we have the controlled opposition, which they think is the light, which they think is the good guys. There are no good guys. So once the revolution starts, when they stop communicating through all that crap, every cell phone has a capability of 5G. Every cell phone, when you turn it off, it's still on. I used to build this stuff. I was on Joe Rogan. I said, and actually,
I heard you say that. Yeah, Sean Ryan.
Inside the chips. The thing is they have these clean rooms where they have the chips. It's a chip that's in your phone. It's like this big. It's tiny. It's the size of like a head of a needle. It's small, but they go smaller than that. And they're building a chip inside the chip with batteries inside the chip. It works off a piezoelectric effect. It works off of movement. It works off of heat. That's
how saying that stays on. It can get access remotely
inside the chip. You can take your whole phone apart and go down to a chip that's this big. It's smaller than the end of a pencil eraser.
Jeez.
So take the end of a pencil eraser and put that eraser and cut off into a wafer, which is wafer thin, like a centimeter. Put that 1 centimeter end of your pencil eraser inside of your phone. That's a chip. Now do a chip inside of that chip, and a chip inside the chip inside the chip. That's what they're doing. That's why I said when they take apart their phone, you go, there's nothing sneaky inside of here. You're looking at like, come on.
And that's why Taiwan's so
And
important.
Taiwan. And in every one of those chips, I can show you this. Inside of those chips, the wafers, the big chips, the real big ones are like that. The big ones that I'm talking about are about that big. They're like this. That's a big chip. And that's the one we can actually see it. If you look down inside that chip, you're going to see nude photographs. You're going to see porn. You're going to see all kinds of pagan stuff inside of the chips, inside of every one of your phones.
What?
There's spells, it's spellcraft, it's witchcraft. Because right now, if you have a Christian, you have somebody who thinks they're godly, and they're godly, and they're going, oh, I'm so godly, I'm sending all this godly stuff. Well, you're communicating on porn, on top of porn. You're communicating on top of spells, witchcraft. Look at the back of your iPhone. It's an apple with a bite out of it. What did Eve do? You're holding the apple. And inside that apple is the evil.
Yeah, never thought that.
I'm telling you right now, if everybody over there does chip manufacturing in China and Japan and all the chip manufacturers, they know I'm talking the truth, but they won't tell you. They hide words and porn and spells inside those chips. I have a picture of one of them on my phone where we actually zoomed in. I don't think I can show you that though. I think it has stuff in there. I don't want to. I mean, I still take my oaths, and I take my oaths seriously.
I know you do.
Oaths to my military. And so there's still certain things I won't do, you know? But I will talk about this because now all this stuff was released and they're in the open, you know? And we still have secret manufacturing plants all around the country that still do this stuff. And they're all around America. And the thing is you can find out where all of them are if you look at the Manhattan Project.
Mm-hmm.
And find out where all those buildings were, and then find out also where every major railroad track is. Every major railroad track is built directly on top of all the tunnels. Why do you think the railroads go where they go? They lay on ley lines and they lay on top of tunnels. So under every major railroad track, if you look at it from the 1800s, at about 1850 to 1890, somewhere in there, look at where all the major railroad tracks are. If you dig down, and you have to go down miles, it's a mile to 2 miles down, it's going to be major tunnels. And these tunnels were big enough to go 4-lane highways. These are the big tunnels. That's why they built railroad tracks on top of all of them. Because then they're controlled areas that if they have noise, they have anything going on under there, oh, it's just a railroad. Oh. Don't worry about the seismic activity. Because they're still digging. Why do you think Elon Musk has the Starlink and all the space and all the rockets? And he also has all the boring machines.
Yeah.
If I had a rocket that was full of helium, that's why you can have the rocket and it does this, it does a wacky thing, then it lands back. Yeah. They're helium-filled rockets. It's a helium rigid inflatable, and then they launch them off in space, and it does helium, it hits the firmament and goes dunk. And then they pull out the boring machine, goes through the rocket, and then starts boring into the firmament to get to the heaven. That's the new Tower of Babel. The new Tower of Babel is Elon Musk. That's the new Nimrod. So he shoots a rocket up filled with helium. That's why he can do all the landing and everything. That's why thing. The largest consumer of helium on the planet is NASA.
Really?
Yeah, because that's why all the balloons and all the stuff up there. That satellites are balloons.
I know, I saw that recently.
Oh no, man, we've known this forever because of the way the underwater, the deep sea.
Yep.
So it's easy to see the flat Earth when you start just studying a few things. So Elon Musk, rocket, boring machine, helium, goes up there, attaches. Huh. You kidding me? Why doesn't anybody put this together except me? I can build one of those rockets right now and make it land back on Earth. That Elon Musk builds. It's not very hard. I can build all the stuff he's building. I can build stuff better than that, actually, because I know stuff that he doesn't know. Oh, the solar eclipse. Do you want to know how they
Yeah,
did that?
please.
So remember frequency. If I have a frequency of light, okay, wait, think about your Bose headsets first. So if you
Okay.
have your Bose headsets on, right? Sound frequency is just the electromagnetic spectrum. It's just a different spectrum of light. It's all the same spectrum. Come on. So if I have my Bose headset on, I'm listening and I turn it on, it goes, and all the noise goes away. How do they do that? With noise canceling. How do they noise cancel? If you have the down frequency and you have up frequency, it cancels out, becomes zero, right? You can do the same thing with light. Now, if you take big enough generators, you take enough power, like off of the Hoover Dam, for instance, which connects right to Area 51, for instance, and you have a whole bunch of really powerful lights that are hooked up to giant reflectors that are perfect reflectors with these huge, huge lights. And you beam this frequency into these huge things. And these are huge. These are the size of skyscrapers. They're big. And they're using all the power of the Hoover Dam. They're giant, I'm telling you. And you shoot that up at a light at the opposite frequency of the light, it's going to be dark.
Huh.
So you have this huge light on Earth and you're shooting it up. And you have to have it positioned just right to make it reflect right, to make it do all the stuff it has to do, only to one area. That's why the eclipse is only visible to a very narrow strip, which doesn't make sense. Because if the moon is blocking the sun and the moon is 200 and something thousand miles away and the sun is millions of miles away, and the moon at thousands, hundreds of thousands of miles, 239,000 miles or some stupid thing. So the moon is that far away. How come it's only an eclipse for a very narrow strip? Because they're shooting.
Because it says it follows the path of.
Oh no, it doesn't even go east to west. It was going like west to east. So it's all screwy. It's because they have the light and they can control it, and they're going and they're following it only in that strip that they have control of. That's
See,
why
I
it's
feel
only.
I feel like if there was stuff at that level, there'd be more whistleblowers.
You
You know what I
think,
mean?
but it's compartmented, and you can only get into those compartments if you're read in. You can only get read in if you sacrifice a baby.
Mm. So then you're saying Illuminati is real.
Oh, the baby eaters?
Mm.
Wait, not all of them. I mean, a lot of them. Yeah, yeah. If you're at the top levels, you're already consuming. And they do it first with blood, then they do it secretly with a little bit of Soylent Green,
Ugh.
and then they do it full on. So it's step by step. Did you ever watch that movie, that new movie that just came out about the demons and the possession and the prison? What was that movie called?
Gotta give me more than that.
The guy explained it really well in that movie. It was somebody on here is going to know the movie, but it just
Mm.
came out with a really recent movie, really good movie about a dude that was in prison that murdered somebody, and they were trying to make him crazy, but he said he was possessed and all that other stuff. The guy
Oh,
had to come in there as a lawyer and actually, or as a psychiatrist, and had to say the guy is crazy or is not crazy. Is he sane or
oh, I
crazy?
saw that. I saw that. I saw that. I saw that. I
Well,
saw
the
that.
way they explain it in that movie is precise. So it's one little tiny door open, then a bigger door, then something else, then they get attached to you. But you can't have a demon inside you unless you let it. Demons cannot inhabit us unless we give them permission. And you do that through little steps. So by the time you get up to eating babies, you've gone through a lot of steps. And it starts with like the Red Shoes is a baby eater group. Because the red shoes are made out of the flesh of the babies that person actually ate.
How are they getting these babies? Through Child Protective Services, CPS, the most corrupt?
Of course,
Yeah.
100%. And through that Mother Teresa, she had a huge
Yeah.
orphan ring. She was taking them off from Africa. She was taking them from India. Why do you think the people in India hate Mother Teresa so much? They despise her because she was taking a lot of their kids. All of those orphan things. I mean, Queen Elizabeth had a huge orphan ring.
I know. I
She
saw
wore
that.
red shoes. The Pope wears red shoes. Anybody that wears those red shoes and has photos of them, you know that that's a group. The one-eye people are lower level people. If you see all the ones covering one eye, that's lower level before the babies. If you see the hidden hand, same thing. But it's all levels of how they climb up to that. But I know the top levels. I know way beyond what they even can imagine. And that's why I don't care. They can do whatever they want to me because they can't touch me. You know what I mean? It's a spiritual war, man. This is not even physical anymore. When you get up to those levels, it's spiritual only. I can sit here in my house and I fight
What's the point of eating babies?
because of the Luciferian.
Preserving youth?
I told you in the beginning that they think that the power of the person is in the progeny
Yeah,
and
that's it.
blood. That's why Yah, all the way throughout the Bible, throughout every Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, all of them, he says, "Do not consume the blood," because once you drink that blood, you're into their realm of how they view their magic. It's a magic that they do, and we don't do that.
Huh.
You drain all the blood. You do everything you can to stay away from the blood, stay away from the living. And that goes into the living soul. It goes into also your progeny. Your spirit is in your sperm and your egg, male, female. When the sperm and the egg come together, they've measured it. It makes a spark of light, a blue light flashes. That's the blue light of life being created right when it happens. It also happens if you have a super saturated crystalline fluid. If you study it, when it actually sparks and goes to crystal, it makes a crystal really fast. When the first crystal that starts, does the same blue spark as the sperm and the egg. So crystals are formed and born the same way a human is born. Mind blowing.
Wow.
Because it's all the energy of God. It's all the fractal of energy of God. It's all God's energy. The evil side has no energy. That's why when Lucifer, the final judgment, when God turns his back and says, "No more, I did create you, and I love you, and I want you to stop doing what you're doing, but you won't. So I have to cut off all your energy, and you are done. You are no more." He turns into a planet. That's why we have the planets. They're called wandering stars. The stars are live angels. They still have the energy of God. God still loves them. God knows everyone by name. When God takes away the energy completely, they become planets. They're the wandering stars. And the planets have moons. Circling the moons are the planets' offspring and close ones to that planet. That's why you have moons around it. Saturn was the first one. Saturn is the top Lucifer. He's the number one Lucifer out of all of them. That's why they pray to Saturn.
Wow.
All the Luciferians pray to Saturn. Everybody on Sunday, when you pray to Saturn. If you're a Sunday worshiper, you're praying to Saturn. Saturn is Satan, is the first Lucifer, is still conscious, but with no energy. If God gave him energy again, he would become a star again. But God will never give that one energy again. It was pulled. It was forever. You are a planet forever. You are a dead star forever and wandering. We're going to get a new one this time. That's why we have stars.
Oh, gotcha.
The wandering stars don't count the sun and the moon because God gave them energy as the lighter luminous and as a lesser luminary. So if the sun is the bright luminary, the moon is the lesser luminary to rule the day and to rule the night, only for timings.
Gotcha.
They're not to be worshipped. They are not anything except a light bulb, a reflector of God.
So what's your opinion on like UFOs or UAPs? I mean, it's huge,
UFOs and
huge right now.
UAPs, they're real and they were created by Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and some other ones. The knowledge to build those were given to us by the Anunnaki, by the fallen. The spirit of the fallen
re-engineered it. Yeah, reverse
Oh no,
engineered.
we took the designs, took all the stuff, and they noodled it and built stuff, and they can fly. If you want to know how to do anti-gravity, all you need to do is study nature. You can study the scarab beetle and beetles, and you can study the bumblebee, and you can study the rhinoceros. I'm just kidding about the rhino, but we can do anti-gravity right now because the only reason those beetles and things can fly is because this is an electromagnetic universe. So if you can somehow balance in your own body the electromagnetic of it into your realm, you'll float. Gravity is a myth. Gravity is fake. I said that on Joe Rogan too. And I would have explained more, but he started laughing. So I was like, all right, dude, you don't even get it. I started talking about the aliens or the giants. And he started talking about aliens. I was like, giants. I was like, yeah, it's Anunnaki. It's that and that. I would have gone way deep into it, but he cut me off. He said, no, they don't exist. What about aliens? I was like, well, aliens exist, but they're not what you think. Aliens are fallen angels. There's 99 of them.
what is the point of Lockheed Martin making something like that to try to uh, yeah,
But
just like
once
everything
you
else.
almost done, babe. So once you get into the realm of those and you give yourself over, you are totally stuck in the seven deadly sins. So opposite of seven deadly sins are seven virtues, and
Okay,
each sin and each virtue are harmonically and vibrationally connected. So if you start doing lust, chastity, so if you have any lust in your heart, if you want to do anything like that, if you just think the word chastity, it will cancel out the lust. It's vibrationally equivalently. So
gotcha.
you can never do anything opposite. Just like I was talking about the sun being canceled by the eclipse, by the light opposite frequency, your both headset, everything, your feelings, all of it. If you can do the opposite, you can cancel out, bring it to zero. So if you want to defeat the seven deadly sins, you have to understand the seven virtues. It's all on that chart that I post.
Gotcha.
Nobody ever
Gotcha.
reads it though. They don't understand what I'm talking about. But if you look at that chart,
Yeah.
get the middle. You got to do
Okay.
the middle.
Okay.
There's a thousand more things I could add to that to make it even more confusing. But I tried to make it simple.
Okay.
Everything I wrote on there has an exact opposite. So if you have the upper quadrant and this lower quadrant is exactly opposite. And this one is opposite of that one. And this one's opposite of that one. And everything is related and counter and balances.
Gotcha.
Balance in the evil stuff to trick people. The only balance you can do to all the evil is to not even play the game. You have to exit the matrix. You have to eat the red pill and eat truth,
Unplug.
spirit of truth, right? So the matrix is real and the matrix is all evil. There is no good side. Zion is evil. The matrix is evil. The whole movie Matrix is
Yeah.
also it's another trick. It's giving you the dark and the light, but doesn't give you the escape. Neo, they make it look like he's Yeshua, but he's
Yeah.
actually Neo is Lucifer.
Neo is. Phew.
Neo is Lucifer, and that bad agent is Satan. It's a
Oh.
dark and a light,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the dark
Yeah.
and the light on all evil. And so, who's the good guy? There is no
More.
good guy in the Matrix because it's a movie. It's Hollywood. It's Peddlewood. All they do is peddle all the lies. They're not going to give you the truth. The truth
True.
is, I'm watching the Matrix, and I'm the only truth. And I'm watching it. I'm going, ooh, evil. Ooh, evil. Oh, it's all evil. But this is weird because it gives me a couple of the strategies on how evil works. So you watch the Matrix movie and you understand it's evil and try to find the narrow gate, which is the only truth. Then you're in the ballpark.
Oh,
It's not machine and it's not human. It's spiritual. Because machine is ones and zeros and a mechanical, stupid thing. And then you have humans, which is flesh, which is sin. So where do you need to go? Both of these are evil. So get out of the game. Exit the
yeah.
game. The Matrix, you have to exit the Matrix. Matrix. So the Matrix is like 3 levels deep because there's more levels to it, though. The onion is deep. So, and this is only something I can do with people in person, usually
Hmm.
trying to do a little more with you because,
No, I hear you. I get it. Well,
but do
help.
the 3 phases of training. You need
Okay.
to get your body straight right now.
Okay. I'm
And
gonna read both those
you
books as
know,
well.
with both of those books, and then the other book is God Medicine, is going to be you have to start studying the herbs and
Okay.
understand that all the herbs is all you need, and the fruit bearing trees. So do fruits and herbs. You don't need anything else.
Roger that.
I wouldn't even do vegetables because most of the vegetables we're eating right now are fake. They're GMO.
I know.
Bananas are GMO. Oranges, GMO. Almost all of them.
That's scary.
Broccoli is
Jesus
cold GMO.
Christ.
It's not fake. Like there's so many fake foods. Kale is fully fake. You know, almost all the stuff that they peddle on you is gonna be fake. But
Ugh.
the fruits and the herbs of the earth, you go out and forage them yourself. Not the apples with the names and stuff. Most of the crab apples and the apples nobody likes are the good apples. But
Gotcha.
you have to go back to the beginning. And back to the beginning is the Garden of Eden. What did they eat in the Garden of Eden?
Apple.
The fruits of the tree, well, more than that, fruits of the trees and the herbs of the ground. They didn't eat animals because the first animal killed was killed after they ate the apple, after they sinned. God killed an animal and made clothing for them. That was the first sacrifice, was an animal in the Garden of Eden. So they weren't eating meat because everybody had one language. The animals spoke to us. So when we get done with this and we see all the animals, hey, sorry about eating all your brothers and sisters for my whole life. Yeah, now we talk. And yeah, I was a big meat eater. Sorry about that. What are we supposed to do, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
But
Well,
if we're getting past that, when we get past into our next life and we're starting to really live and live a spiritual life, you're not eating animals anymore, because the animals have a consciousness that's very close to ours. And then where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at dolphins? Oh, no, 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 no. Do you draw the line at tuna? Yeah, you can eat tuna. Do you draw the line at dog? No, no, no. Horses? No, no, no. Oh, cows are, yeah, yeah, cows.
yeah,
Like, where do you draw the line? It's ridiculous. Now, I'm not one of those weird vegans that go out and do all the weird stuff, because that's, again, that's evil and evil. You know, you just have to understand spiritually where you are, that we can eat meat. We do all the stuff all the way up until that point when we go spiritual. And then you understand what the conscious levels are. Then you're actually talking to the animals at a conscious level. So I have a very weird relationship with the animals now, that they don't see me as a danger. None of them. I have bees land on me. The dogs, I have dogs that are attack dogs that walk up and start licking me because I'm on a different level. So, I mean,
gosh,
it's where we're all supposed to be. And I know Santos is there. I know a whole bunch of other people are there. I know that if you're doing what I'm doing right now and I'm giving you a lot of information, if you're writing this in a book, you're trying to sell the book, well, then you're not doing it right. Because all this information is free. It's all true. It's all hidden in the Vatican and 50 miles of library under the Vatican.
Vatican Library. Yep.
Vatican Library has all of this, and they hide it from you. That's why they only
Force.
have 66 books. An Ethiopian Bible has 88 books. That's why I'm an Ethiopic Yahwist. The Ethiopians are where to go. You know, the Ethiopians supposedly have the Ark of the Covenant. And if you think about the covenant, what's in the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of
Knowledge.
the Covenant. In the Ark of the Covenant has the 10 Commandments. And it
Oh,
also has the rod of Aaron, and it has the some manna. So it only has 3 things in the Ark of the Covenant. And on the outside of the Ark of the Covenant are the Moses laws, are the laws of Moses, which is about the sacrificing, which is about wearing your clothing, which is about all the Leviticus laws are on the outside of the Ark of the Covenant. They are not in the covenant. That's why the Christians are so wrong when they do Sunday worship. Sabbath is the 4th commandment. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Is in the Ark of the Covenant. What does that mean? That means it's part of the covenant. You can't break the covenant or you're going to burn. On the outside of our covenant, those are rules, those are laws, those are very important. It'll make you healthy, but it's not the first covenant. And it's very important, and all the Christians get this wrong. There's a lot of Christians that are not going to make it. They're being totally tricked by evil and evil.
but is that their fault? Shit, they're trying to do the right
Their
thing.
fault,
No,
because all the knowledge is there. All you got to do is read the Bible.
touche.
They don't read the Bible, they just listen to a preacher.
Mm.
And if a preacher doesn't read the Bible, he listens to a professor at divinity school. So I'll tell you what, if I'm in a pulpit, I'm going to preach, and people are going to learn stuff, and they're going to learn it pretty much directly from the Bible. And I'm going to tell them, these are the verses. Go read this chapter. Go read these things. After I talk to them, just like I'm doing to you, and then they're going to read it and go, oh wow, it really is there. But those other preachers that learn from divinity school, they learn from professors. They get brainwashed. They get propagandized, just like everybody at universities. Then they're going to teach what they got taught, and they're going to teach other people to teach it again, and it's watered down. So any preacher that went to divinity school right now, I'm not even sure if I want to listen to them, because I'm not going to believe them, because they got brainwashed by a bunch of divinity weirdos who were also brainwashed by Rothschilds and Rockefeller and Nimrod and Babylon and the Talmud. So I don't put up with that. I'm going to read it myself.
Well, you've given me a lot to dive into, my friend.
Oh, and the Bible you want? You have to go to Institute of Scripture Research, ISR, and that's the only Bible I read.
You're talking the Ethiopian.
Oh, no, no. The Ethiopian Bible hadn't caught up yet to some of these other ones because somebody went through and they went through. They just call it the Scriptures.
Okay.
It's by the Institute of Bible Research. There's a symbol, ISR.
Okay.
What they did was they went through the entire Bible, the Tanakh and the New Testament, and they replaced the LORD with YHWH. They replaced all the GODs with Yah. They replaced all the JCs, the Zeus, Krishna, with Yahshua. They replaced all the real names with the real names instead of lying and doing what the Catholics did. So I have a whole bunch of old Bibles too. Like here's one.
Damn.
This one is.
How old is that?
I'm going to tell you right now. This is 1611 and 1885. And here's one of the actual sheets. This is the actual page. This is the pages out of the Bible from 1559.
Wow.
Or 1599, I'm sorry.
1599, yeah.
1599. So these are the Bibles that I look at, but I won't study them because I don't want to study the wrong names. I don't want to have those in my head. So then I have a whole bunch of the King James Bibles that I just give them away now. Even these old ones like that, I'm like, yeah, it's worth a lot of money, but I don't care because money is worthless. It's fiat papers anyway. It's toilet paper. I also have the Nag Hammadi scriptures, which is good because I go into the Paleolithic, and so I can reference the Paleolithic with the Nag Hammadi. And then everybody needs a Strong's Concordance, so you need a full Strong's Concordance to be able to look up words and then cross-reference them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
To the rocks and to the scrolls. So, and I have a ton more reference and things, but the thing is if you get the one Bible, get the Institute of Scripture Research, and just start at Genesis and start reading through. Okay. It should take you about 1 to 2 days per. Even Genesis took me 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Exodus a couple of days. I mean, each book, the full book, should only take you a day or two.
Okay.
And if you just read, don't read it like you're reading a Bible. Just read it. Just read the book and do that all the way through. That way you have a really good picture of it. It should take you about 100 days and you're good. And then you go back and study it.
Gotcha.
What happens is Christians will go to the New Testament and never read the Old Testament. So basically it's like going to the movie Matrix and going there after like an hour is already gone and I'm watching the second hour and trying to understand. So you got to watch the whole movie.
Gotcha. Roger that.
It's all there. There's so much health advice in the Bible and so much money advice. There's all the advice is in there to be a good person.
Well,
and also the advice is in there how to kill giants and how to kill the baby eaters and how to kill the really evil stuff.
Gotcha. I'll definitely take a look at that for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, the baby eaters, they're starting to come out of the woodwork now and we're starting to know who they are.
How so?
You can see it. They're doing too many pictures and they're all symbols and stuff on all their social media. You see the ones doing the eye covering and the one hand stuff?
Yep.
You see them doing the red shoes and you can see the levels they're at just by the photos they posted. Because they thought we were too stupid. They call us goyim. We're animals. We don't understand. We're not smart enough. The thing is they don't know who we are.
I haven't seen red shoes yet, but I will be looking out for it.
Oh man, I can send you some pictures of a lot of them. Just look it up, Red Shoe Club. Just go on there and look up Red Shoe Club, and you'll see a lot of them. And you'll see the Pope standing right in the middle of them with his red shoes on. So they actually skin them, and they use the leather, and then they dye them and make them red, and it's actually skin, the shoes. There's only one person that makes those shoes, one manufacturer. Some dude in Italy, some Roman Jesuit guy. Yes. It's the Jesuits, man.
Yeah.
A really good book is the 13th Tribe. If you want to know about the Khazarians.
13th Tribe.
Called the 13th Tribe. I think the 13th Tribe.
13th Tribe.
I just changed my library around a little bit. My library is totally mixed up right now, so usually I can grab them right out. Well, but it's a really good one.
We're hitting the 3 hour mark, brother. You want to
Oh,
leave us with
dang,
any?
man. I didn't even know I
No,
thought it
you're
was only
good.
like an hour.
You want to leave
Sorry.
us with something before we get off?
Um, I want to leave you with my favorite military slogan, Semper Fi.
Ah, love it.
No, man,
Love it.
truly, Semper Fi, always faithful. I really believe it. I think it's something that we have to understand. And how are you faithful? You're faithful by obeying. You're faithful by being loving and kind and compassionate to each other and understanding where the other person is at. All those people coming across the border right now from the southern border, I don't hate any one of those people. It's not their fault. It's the kings and queens' fault in all those countries down south. It's the kings and queens' fault of all those people in Europe and Asia. It's not those people's fault. And I know that. And so that's always faithful, Semper Fi. Even all those people that are being pushed across the border, it's not their fault. And so what we need to do is look at those people and go, you know what? This is exactly what happened to Native Americans a couple hundred years ago. It wasn't my fault that I came here. They were starving us out over there in Norway and then the potato famine in Ireland and all throughout Europe. They were persecuting and killing people left and right.
Yep.
So we came here to America. And then what did we do to all the Native Americans? A lot of them died. They died by what?
Disease.
By disease? What was COVID?
Mm.
Huh. It was kind of similar to bubonic plague inside the blankets, wasn't it? What's up with the vaccines? It's very, very similar, isn't it? Because they use the same playbook. They use the same playbooks. They're using a playbook right now that they used on all of Europe a couple hundred years ago, 250 years ago, 300 years ago. They're doing it again. And so all the people coming across right now, they're basically Europeans 300 years ago. So what are we going to do? Are we going to pull out a bunch of victim cards and then let them stick us on reservations? And then we're going to sit on reservations, be drunks, and open up casinos and do more sin? They covered all the Native Americans, and I don't even like calling them Native Americans because they were also a replacement group. They replaced a whole bunch of people 1,000 years ago. So don't tell me anything about those people. The thing is as soon as I start being a victim, as soon as I start crying, as soon as I start fighting, they're going to just kill us off. That's what they do. And they're going to stick us on reservations. I'm not going to do that. No, man. I'm good with that. And all the people on reservations right now, are you kidding me? Stop playing the victim and come out of there and join the group, man. You have enough opportunity. You have everything you need out here. Just stop drinking, stop smoking, stop doing all the crap you're doing. Stop the casino BS and be a human. I have the Indian Bible right here too. This one's pretty good. Now, if you're out there and you're interested in this stuff, and you want to know how they got replaced and who they actually were, there's one of the tribes of Israel. This is one of the tribes. And they were tricked. They were told they weren't. They were everything was just sideways. This is why in the ancient tongues, in Cherokee and I think in Sioux, there's a lot of Hebrew words because they're one of the tribes. The African a tribe. There's just tribes all over the place. So what we're doing right here in America, you got to remember they're always faithful. Did you ever say always faithful to your captain of your platoon? Not as much as you did to Buddy right next to you, did you?
No.
You said it's Semper Fi to the guy right next to you all the time, and maybe the sergeant, probably the sergeant, but
Yep.
the captain and all the colonels and all those guys, you probably never said it's Semper Fi to a colonel, because the colonels are the kings and queens. I'm not faithful to a king. All the Congress up there and all the presidents and all those people, I Smedley Butler on them, the crap out of them, you know? And I'll tell you what, I am always faithful to you, my brother. I'm always faithful to all those people coming across the border. I'm always faithful to any person out there, whether you're gay or trans or whoever you are, as long as you're not a king or queen. Because you're a king or queen if you're an NPC to the king or queens. Remember on the Matrix when Neo was walking behind, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now.
Morpheus. Morpheus.
Yeah, Morpheus. I like that guy. So Morpheus is walking and said, listen, you're walking through here right now, and you think that's a good guy, you think that, but they're all their enemies. If
Oh
they're an
yeah.
NPC, it's an enemy.
I know
So
what
if you're
fire
an
you're talking about.
NPC, I'm just walking away, man. I got no time for you.
Gotcha.
You know? So all I want to leave you with is Semper Fi to all the people out there that are awake, the people out there that know we are fighting between evil and evil. And we, the people who are awake, are the only humans on Earth. Everyone else is an NPC or a Luciferian, and they're kings and queens. They're making you do what you're doing right now. Don't let them. I'm never gonna fight somebody coming across the border. I won't shoot one of them or even argue with them. Dude, 300 years ago, I was you. Come on, man. Dude, you don't have to steal from me. What do you need? You know? I mean, within reason, you know, don't be a jerk.
Yeah, I hear you.
But the thing
Well,
is, NPCs will steal from you. NPCs will take everything you have because that's what they're doing, you know? But the thing is, if you Americans out there and you Europeans and the Asians and Africans and all of us together, we, the people who are awake, outnumber them 1,000 to 1, probably more than that. So who's in charge? Well, they are, because we're stupid, because we're letting them.
yep.
Now, always faithful, semper fi, to you, my brother, to all you people out there. You're my brothers and sisters. And right now, if we start coming together, they have no chance.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I leave it with. I leave it with
Well
semper.
said. Well said. Thanks again for coming on, Chris. Look forward to hearing some more from you.
Sorry I
Semper
talked
Fi.
too much.
No, you're good. You killed it.
All right, man.
Have a good night, brother.
Good night. Thank you.